Well, hello there. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the stream. Hopefully you can hear me okay. We're going to be spending some time waiting on the New World segment. But before that, we can answer some questions and talk about the game a little bit. I know it's been kind of odd in terms of the information we've been receiving for the game. Hold on, let me change the track really quick. Well, hello there. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the stream. Hopefully you forgot to mute that. There we go. Okay, so first I want to talk about the game New World itself. Let me see if I can share my monitor. What's going on, everybody? How you guys doing today? Sorry about that. You can hear me okay? Okay, cool. I know this microphone picks up the puff sounds quite a bit when I get real close to it, so I'm going to try to stay a little bit farther away from it. But can you see my monitor? Everything good there? Perfect. Okay. So if you guys have any questions, I just want to say now, go ahead and at me, like if you have any questions, and I'll be able to save those and make sure I answer those as soon as possible. Once the segment begins for New World, we're going to go ahead and mute everything. And at that point, we're just going to, hold back on the questions until it's over. Send me a kiss. Okay, so first off, I wanted to say as well that I am able to talk a little bit about New World. I've read all the interviews. I have a lot of detail on it. Anything that you guys might be curious about, how the game might look, or how it might turn out early on, I think I have some ideas about that. But I am able also to talk a little bit about the alpha experience. I am able to say I'm in the alpha. Are there dungeons? There are not. No, they are not doing instance dungeons from what we've heard. They said that there will be open world points of interest and open world dungeons that we can access, but nothing like an instance dungeon. No, I don't think they're going for that. And I can't talk about the alpha experience, but I can tell you how much time I've spent in the alpha. How long till New World segment? We have about 16 minutes before the PC Gamer stream begins, and then I'll probably have that in the background while I'm answering questions, and we'll just talk about New World until we get to the New World segment. So we have no idea just yet, but the PC Gamer stream itself lasts for about 2 hours, so it shouldn't be too long before we actually reach the New World segment before it begins, or once it begins, sorry. If you got the Steam version, you'll be able to play this early alpha. So if you have the Steam version, no, it doesn't guarantee you access to the alpha, only the beta, and that's if you pre-ordered. But yeah, if you pre-ordered the game, then yeah, you'll have access to the beta. The alpha is invite only, though, or if you get into their giveaways and you win them, then you can get in through that. Is New World free to play or pay to play? It's buy to play. $40 price tag, I believe. $50 for the actual Ultimate Edition. Let me go ahead and bring up the store page just so I make sure. If anybody's got a question about the release date of it, it's August 25th, but we're not sure exactly on the beta date just yet. So yeah, $39.99 for the actual default price tag, $49.99 for the deluxe. And I'll go ahead and get this out of the way just now. I am currently in the alpha test. I wanted to make sure I showed my playtime here because I know people will have a lot of questions about how long they think the game itself will last, or how long of a of a playtime experience you'll have by default before you get bored. And I do have some thoughts on that. I definitely have some ideas of where the reviews and things like that are going to go when the game first comes into beta. But first, I wanted to answer a couple questions before I got too deep into that. So far, I've got 927 hours. I've been in there for a little while. I can't, of course, talk about the alpha stuff. So anytime I've covered stuff, I've always tried to do it from public information only. But I know quite a bit about the game so far. Let me see. What's your thoughts about the game not having raids and dungeons? I think it's interesting that it doesn't have it because if they're trying to go for a more traditional sense, I think they might want to go that route for dungeons and raids. But also, you don't really need to have them in the game as long as it has enough content to supplement that. I think they're going for the more open world, similar to a sandbox experience like you've seen in Darkfall and Mortal Online and games like that. I think they're going for more that instead of like the instance experience. So that's why they're starting to move away from that PvP part, but they still, it seems like they're still trying to implement a mixture of instance and open world stuff. Though the PvP though, that seems like since it's instance, that's going to kind of take away from that. So I think what they could do, I mentioned this before, is I think they could actually benefit off of having like open world points of interest or like fortifications, kind of like Elder Scrolls Online Cyrodiil PvP, because the system already feels like it's kind of built for that in a sense, because we have all these territories on the map and we can only fight over them at certain points of the day. I don't think that's going to, satisfy everybody like right off the bat. I think there's going to be a lot of gaps, especially because it's only limited to 50 players. So I don't think everybody's going to be able to participate every day. So I think there's things they can do to help with that, because there are players that will log into a game like 6 a.m. in the morning and all they want to do is PvP. Doesn't have to be open world PvP, because I know there's a lot of people disappointed that they're moving away from that. But having some kind of PvP content to supplement those players is I think they could do that and it'd still be really good. And it would still fit their vision. Are you going to be making a guild? Actually, I'm going to be going on the Marauders faction. I've already told my current guild about this a little bit. What I'm going to do is my main character is going to be on Marauders. It's going to be guildless though, because I'm going to act as a neutral point. Like I don't want to flood, just everybody into one guild kind of thing. My first goal is to spread everybody that comes to me and asks for a guild. I want to spread them all throughout the community, and make sure that the game itself, the game itself has a steady population, and we'll all be able to play together. We don't actually have to be in guilds. Plus, I like the Marauder outfits a lot. If it's the one I'm thinking of. So yeah, I think I'll be okay on the Marauder side without a guild. We'll all still be able to play together, and I've got some plans for some events we can do in game. But I'll have to talk more about that once we actually, get closer. Are we boycotting if no fishing? Holy crap, hold on. These questions are going a little far. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, no. So I love fishing. Actually, I don't know if it's going to be in at launch. That's a good question, actually. Hopefully it is. But if not, I think it'll, probably get in there pretty soon after launch, because everybody's going to want that, or a lot of people are going to want that. Pretty popular thing. Link song. Oh, the starting song. Oh, fun fact. Actually, the starting song. Oh, we got 11 minutes, by the way, till it starts. The starting song is actually a remastered version of a lobby music from the game called Guns the Duel. I don't know if you guys have heard of that game before, but it was actually the second game I ever played after RuneScape. And I had contacted an artist, a person who does instrumental music and stuff like that. And I asked them if he could remaster the song, but only have it be playing as a harp. And he said he could do it, and that's what it came out as. I absolutely love that game, and the lobby music was very special to me, so I really wanted to recreate that. Same thing with the actual animated GIF that you saw for the starting screen too. Made sure that I could get that done before we had the streaming started. I had to make sure I had that ready to go. Also, thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate that. Thank you. I know nothing of this game. How is it going to steal your heart and soul? I'm an old WoW player. So for this game, I want to say right away that the game itself, I don't think it's going to be a WoW killer. I don't think it's trying to be a WoW killer. This was something I was waiting for someone to kind of ask about, but I'll just start going into it right now. I think the game itself, it's going to have a rocky start, just based off a couple reasons. But of course, there's a lot of people that are still wanting that PvP aspect and aren't okay with the new changes. On top of the delay and everything that's happened since then, I think that when we first get in game, people's expectations are probably going to be pretty high just because it's Amazon. But I think that it could end up shooting some people in the foot because this game, it's very early, and I think our brains are just automatically going to try and compare this game to MMOs and MMORPGs that have been out for like 6-7 years or so. So I think that when we get in, there's going to be a lack of content, and I think that the repetition of the way that this game works, because it functions more like a sandbox than a traditional MMO. So there's a certain repetition that you get in sandbox games like EVE Online, Darkfall, Mortal. It takes a while longer than you if you're looking at a traditional game and how long you have to grind versus how long until you start having fun. A sandbox would probably take a lot longer than that. So I think that part might drive a couple people away early on. So we'll have to see there. But if you're a WoW player, I think that it'll be a hard sell in terms of this game stealing you away from it. It's really going to depend on your preferences. If you like the kind of Dark Souls combat that this game is trying to offer, if you like the aesthetic of it, and you think that it might actually be interesting for you, I think it's best to give it a try first see how you like it, and then make a decision. I think it's possible, but it's all going to depend on your preference. But it's in no way trying to be a WoW killer, and I don't think it will be a WoW killer. I think it's going to have a rocky start for about 6 to 8 months, maybe even a year, and then at that point we can start looking at if it's going to be considered one of the greats. And then past that point, we can probably start talking about it killing WoW, or like the possibility of that. Will you let us know what server you're on? Yes, I'll definitely let you guys know as soon as we know what servers are available. I'm definitely going to let you guys know what server I'll be on. And for the guild itself, I'm planning on going guildless because I've been thinking a lot these past few months, and I think one of my main problems was when I was always covering other games and just playing other games in general, that as a content creator, I also gave a lot of my priorities to the guild I was in. I focus more on the guild stuff as opposed to actually the community itself and making content and helping to try to better the game. So I'm gonna approach New World from a different standpoint this time. So for that, I'm gonna remain like neutral on my main character, because I'll have other characters too, but for my main, I'm gonna be guildless. Will it be delayed again? We have no idea. The PC Gamer event has just started though. Let's see. Vote now in chat for Half-Life 3. Okay, so I'm going to keep this up for now. I'm going to go ahead and minimize it a little bit just so that we can have it in the background here. We'll be ready to go as soon as I start the New World segment. But what was that question again? I don't think it'll be delayed again because they've been hyping up the announcement. I would hope not. But of course, there's always a chance. We'll have to see to know for sure. But I think it's either the beta announcement or something interesting someone told me was that it could possibly be console release, which unfortunately it makes sense that they would actually hype something like that up if they're planning on doing like crossplay with consoles, because something like that would also be a huge boost to the player base. But at the same time, I think they know everybody wants to hear about beta, so at the very least, if they're planning on doing something like that, I would hope they would include it in this one too, unless it's going to be an IGN's event on Sunday or Monday. Sorry, Monday. Do you think mounts will ever come, in your personal opinion? Mounts is a tough one. You know, actually, I came in with an opinion on mounts when I first started playing this game, but after seeing, because I had no idea, because all these traditional MMOs, even sandboxes like, you know, Darkfall, Mortal, they all have mounts in them and they all do pretty good. But when I came to this game, I didn't know like how much disdain people were going to have for mounts until I actually, you know, started reading people's feedback and stuff like that in this game. I don't know if it will, to be honest with you. I think what could happen is later down the line, they might consider it if the player base wants it. But what I think could happen first is based off of the stuff they've teased, like the previous civilizations. We just talked about a couple weeks ago about how they teased the Vikings in a recent Twitter screenshot. Might be able to pull that up here because I had my folder ready to go. I've got an insane catalog. Don't mind Ricardo. I've got an insane catalog of stuff, and it's what I use to keep track of news and everything like that. But when they teased the Viking ships on their Twitter, they posted this on their Twitter, I noticed right away, as soon as someone pointed it out to me, because I missed it at first, this is definitely a Viking longship. You got the dragon head ship head, which I did some research on. You got the Nordic shields right on the side here, and the placement of the oars, just everything about this right here, this just screams Vikings. So I think what could happen is, like, when they come up on an expansion or something like that, I think they could actually introduce new islands in naval combat or naval exploration first before they do mounts. So I think if anything, it might come after stuff like that. What's the biggest PvE content? Most likely going to be invasions. Most likely going to be invasions for sure. Right now, it seems like they are, if anybody has any questions on if there's anything that I have problems with in the game, there definitely are. From what we know so far, not talking about alpha stuff, but the invasions is probably going to be the biggest thing that they're pushing right now. From what we've seen and, you know, everything we've heard, it seems like that is like the pinnacle right now. That and the corrupted breach system, like the dynamic events. I can't think of anything else that would really be bigger for them than the invasions and the corrupted breaches. I'm pretty sure that's going to be one of the biggest things for them right now. What's your thoughts about the game not... Oh, yeah, I answered that. No problem. Any fix to the system that allows a single guy company? Yeah, okay, so the Vanguard system. So that's one of the things that I have had an issue with. is the Vanguard system. The second thing was the way that the invasions go. So if you guys don't know, first I'll start with the Vanguard system. When you want to declare a war on a territory, like after the territory has already been claimed by somebody else, what you have to do is you have to go to that territory, like go to the territory itself. I can't say more than that, sorry. And then you have to do PvP based missions, which are going to auto flag you by default. So anybody trying to do PvP missions, they'll automatically be flagged to fight, and they'll have to fight to get influence. Once they complete a PvP mission, it'll start to generate influence from the territory. And then what's going to happen is it's going to fill up that bar all the way. And then the territory that puts it into conflict, they can declare. Now, when they declare, everybody who is a part of that territory or part of that faction as well can declare too. The Vanguard system is where a select amount of guilds can declare, like right away, like as many as possible from what I know so far, but only one is chosen to lead the faction. So, and it's chosen at random. So that means that a one-person guild could, if they, had the amount of money, they could declare on the territory and they could get it. That means that one-person guild is going to own the territory if they win. And they're able to pull from the roster of people that sign up from the faction. Where that can become a problem is multiple ways. Let's say, for instance, that a guild on the enemy side, they actually want to send spies over to the other faction. Like, let's say they buy a new account, they make an account over there, and they send somebody to start a guild. They start feeding that person money, then they wait until the settlement's in conflict. Like, let's say Marauders puts the Syndicate territory into conflict, and then Syndicate has somebody over in Marauders ready to go. That spy could declare war on that guild right away. And then what happens is once the war is done, the territory goes out of conflict and everybody has to do the missions all over again. So they could do that, or if somebody else is declaring too, they could get, if they could get the Vanguard by chance, then they can do it that way and then just not show up. Or they could, because I'm pretty sure that it's going to choose people at random. Like if nobody signs up or they don't move people into the roster, then it's probably going to choose everybody that's signed up. But yeah, that's one way that it can become an issue. Also, if you've been working on doing PvP missions to declare on a Syndicate territory for weeks or days, and then somebody else comes in random and just swoops that underneath you. Like, let's say it's a 10-person guild who hasn't done anything for the faction. They just swoop in and take that. That's kind of where it could become an issue, like two ways. And then for the invasions, the part where when you're defending against an invasion of corrupted, you can choose 10 people from your company, you can reserve them, but then 40 other people are going to be able to join at random. You don't have any control over that. And they want people to be included. They want the entire community to be able to take part in these invasions. So I would imagine that's why they do that. But the problem is sometimes you get people that will want to sabotage the invasion. Also, yes, I did play Albion Online and ESO. Sorry about that. But yeah, you'll get people that want to sabotage it. So then you come across a situation where you have, let's say 5 people that are just standing there doing nothing. If you lose that invasion, there's real penalties. You lose levels on crafting benches. The fortifications go down in level from what we've heard so far, stuff like that. So you really have to have everybody on their A game. I think a solution to that would be to put 20 to 25 people in reserve, so it's a little less up to chance. Because even if you have 25 competent people and then you have 10 people who are just standing there doing nothing, it'll be a little bit better than if you had 40 people and half of them just aren't doing anything, kind of thing. So that's the two things that I'd have issues with so far in my comment on the Vanguard system. I think if they change that to where either you have to have a minimum of amount of people in your guild to declare, or it just goes to the person who declared on it to begin with. I think one of those two options will probably be a solution to that. Hold on a second. Do you know how many servers? We have no idea. On what engine New World is made? It's made on the Lumberyard engine, which from what I understand is a modified version of CryEngine. We don't know much more than that, but I believe they said that it's a modified version of CryEngine. But yeah, it's called Lumberyard. It's Amazon's own engine that they work on. Please let me get an alpha key. I don't have it, I'm sorry. Hold on, let me scroll up. Nice to see you here supporting New World. Thank you so much, I appreciate it. You're just the puppet of Amazon. No, I'm not. No, I love the game itself, and I support it, not because Amazon's making it, but honestly because I feel like we need some new blood in the MMO genre. And out of a lot of games that I've seen in the past couple of years, I think this is one that has the potential to become that, but not right away. I don't think it'll happen right away, but after about 6 to 8 months of some tender love and care, I think it could have that possibility. Okay, we caught up. Is there any point in PvPing giveaways? They have giveaways on the other Twitters too. But yeah, I know the ones on our side are like US only, because they said something about regions like having different laws when it comes to giveaways. Like I think one example is Canada. I think there's a law against and correct me if I'm wrong, like if you do a giveaway, it can't be up to chance or something like that in Canada. Something there that somebody told me. So that's one of the reasons why they do it like that, where they do like separate giveaways. And I think they had one or two of them on the German Twitter one time, or the other region Twitter. Is there any point in PvPing character-wise? Is my character going to improve in PvP? As far as we know, no. Your character won't get like levels and stuff like that through PvP. From what we know so far, they might add something like that in the future. But right now, the PvP, it's in a very basic state where right now we have the opt-in PvP, the opt-in open world PvP, and then we have the territory wars. So the territory wars is the 50v50, and I don't think everybody's going to have the chance to do those every day. That's why I think that it would probably be better if they implemented some more on top of that, including those open world points of interest or fortifications we can fight over, similar to Cyrodiil PvP. I think players are going to need something to do every day that doesn't just involve the PvE aspects of the game. I think PvP players should have something that they can do on that side as well. Let me see. PvP based arenas. That was something that I definitely would love. I would love to see that as well in the future. I think it could, you know, I know there's ways to do it where it could remain only open world, and then there's ways to do it where they can implement some, you know, instance content like the arenas that they're already putting in. But the PvP arenas, they haven't said anything about that yet, but I know that is something that's also been requested as well. Absolutely. I think I would love to see it. Like competitive arenas. Let me see. Okay, so you pay 50 and you can't play alpha test. Yeah, that's correct. So you have to get a key from their giveaways or from just signing up on their website and waiting for a key to be given to you. That's the only way to sign up, but we only have a month to go, pretty much, unless it's going to be sooner than that, until the beta begins, so you don't have anything to worry about. What's your thoughts on all forms of crafting? Is it possible for everyone versus the player economy? So yeah, because the PvP's been changed from opt-in, I think that right now, in its current state, there could potentially be an issue when it comes to the economy. The crafting system I do like. I like the fact that it's less about the RNG aspects and more about there's ways to progress. Well, what I should say is that there's ways to guarantee progression. Like the perk system allows it to where if you find the specific resource that you're looking for, like perk wise, then you can add that to your crafting recipes and then make sure that that perk shows up. And then also the same thing for a gem slot. If you add extra resources to the actual craft, then you can guarantee, or like at least increase your chances higher, that there's a gem slot on the item. I like that part because it's worse when, you know, you're just trying to craft and wait for the proper rolls, or if the system has something where you see in a lot of Eastern MMOs where you could craft something, but then you got to upgrade it. It's like +6, +10, but then at some point in time, there's a chance for it to either downgrade or get destroyed. Like Arcade, one of the things that they used to do before, like way back, I don't think they do this now because it's been a while since I played, was they had like the Ascended gear, if I remember right, the red tier, where when you tried to get to that point, your stuff could get destroyed, maybe even before that. But stuff like that, I don't like when we have to do stuff like that, because then you might see stuff that's like microtransaction based that can increase your chances of success, and then you feel more compelled to purchase that kind of stuff. How's the cash shop? Right now, they've said, from what they've said so far, we only have a cosmetic based cash shop that they're going for, and after that, they want to make sure that They have things like housing decorations. From what we learned from the previous furnishing system, or from what we learned from the previous dev blog, the furnishing system is going to be created in a way where we can craft most of the furniture, but we can also get these decorations from the cash shop. So if you want to just, go in and decorate your house, you won't have to pay for anything like that. But it looks like they're going to be doing some kind of decoration skins for the actual furniture, which hopefully it doesn't go too crazy where, we have to, or like people that like decorating houses feel compelled to do it. I feel like there's a lot of that should be kept on the in-game side, and then you just have people level up in furnishing, and then they can make fancier furniture. I think that's the best way to do it instead of going too crazy on that side. So we'll have to see what happens. But there's also going to be cosmetics for owners of Twitch Prime, so that's a thing too, because it's Amazon. Guns to duel, heck yeah, I love it. How's the magic look so far? I miss guns. The fire staff and the life staff is all we've seen so far. It's what they haven't said it publicly, but I'm pretty sure it's the life staff. I can show you a clip of it right now. When they first introduced the Spriggan, there's a couple parts in here that kind of show off what I believe to be the life staff. And of course I can't confirm it, but this right here, that bad boy. You see that green projectile that's coming out of the staff right there? Yeah, that appears to be what I would consider a life staff, more restoration based than fire based. Because we've seen the fire staff, we've seen the projectile that comes out of it, and we've also seen this staff before in previous clips. And then when you look at where I pointed out part like this, where is it? We're gonna see at some point in this video a little bit of a shockwave. It's a green shockwave that comes from the bottom left corner of the screen. If I can find it. Was it in this clip? Yeah, see, that does remind me of a life staff right there. But those are the only two that we have confirmation of so far. Yeah, oh, I don't know if it's in here. There was actually in the invasion clip that they showed us when they did the invasion dev diary, there was also a like what looked like a healing wave that I saw, and I pointed it out in a recent video. But yeah, all we've seen so far is the fire staff and what appears to be the life staff. Used to be in the previous alpha that we had the gauntlets for healing. That's what we used to use to heal. But now it looks like they're going the staff route. Hopefully, though, they'll bring the gauntlets back at some point in time. I think it'd be really cool if we, had the chance to get those back in game again. It would be really nice. Is there any synergy between skills, like combos between different skills? So as far as we've seen, like from what I've analyzed so far, it doesn't appear like there's actual custom combos. Like let's say you're playing not like Mortal Kombat, of course, or like what's a better example? I'm trying to think of like a melee fighting game that might have combos. Some RPGs, yeah, not like custom combos that you can do. It seems like auto attacking is pretty standard. Then we have heavy attacks, and then also we have the 3 skills that we can choose. For the skill tree part, we know that the skill trees we can choose, master as many skills as we want to in the skill tree, but at the end of the day, we can only actually have 3 skills on our bar, and they're bound to Q, R, and F. Let me see if I can find the one that I did for that. Actually, I have a lot of these in here. A lot of this is pre-alpha footage that I had beforehand. There we go. Yeah, so these skills, we can tap out all these if we wanted to, but we can only at the end have 3 skills on our bar is the main thing. So no matter what, that's going to be what we'll be using most of the time. But you can also have multiple weapons on your character. At level 30, you unlock all 3 slots, so you can have a total of 3 on your back. But when you switch weapons, as we've seen in like the Cutlass Keys footage, it shares cooldowns. So you're not gonna see anything like stance dancing like you would see in Guild Wars 2, or not. Well, I think some of the classes like Mesmer. I'm trying to think Mesmer and maybe Revenant. I don't remember too well. But yeah, you have a lot of it where you do stance dancing like in Guild Wars 2. No, Elementalist. That's what I'm thinking of the most. But yeah, you won't see anything like that. You're going to have to be very careful with which weapons you bring to the fight, and you're going to have to make sure that you are on top of your timing. We've seen perks that will actually reduce the cooldown, though, of your skills. And actually, Focused, one of the attributes that we will have available, is also capable of reducing cooldowns. So using those two in conjunction is going to allow you to win the day in the end. So you're going to have to make use of both of those. Do we have roles for tanks and healers? Yes, we do. They actually mentioned this in the MMORPG article as well, back in February. But if you wanted to spec into tanking while you're using a longsword and shield, you could. Or you could go for a more warrior-based build, like a more DPS kind of build, and do that instead. And for healers, yeah, they mentioned healing in the GameSpot interview that they did back then, and also we've seen the life staff plenty of times since then. So yeah, you're going to have healers as well. They also mentioned it during the arena blog as well, that we're going to have healers in our party. And do you think crafting gear will be better or worse than gear to find? I would hope in the end that crafted gear is some of the best. I like the idea of being able to get gear through multiple methods. You know, I like it in games when you could have crafters making in-game gear that's maybe even better than anything else you'd find. And then also on the other side of that, you have like raid gear, and then you have PvP gear even. I like that. I like that a lot. You know, multiple ways of progression. And the best part about it is they all look different. In some games that do that, they all look different. I think they should all have a different look to them to make players feel like they're accomplishing something. If they specialize in PvP, for instance, you know, PvP gear that can hold a lot of players over, I think, and then vice versa for like raiding. But yeah, I definitely think that crafting should be really good. We just don't know fully yet how it's going to work in beta is the only thing. How's the latency affect the gameplay? That part I can't really say right now, but Amazon does own the Amazon Cloud server, I think it's called. They have some of the most powerful servers in the world, so I think latency wise we should be okay, but I can't really answer based off alpha experience about the latency. But we'll have to see when the actual game comes out, because server wise, I think someone asked this earlier, is that yeah, servers are said to have 1,000 to 2,000 players. In one article, they even said up to 3,000, but they want to stay lower than that. But like 1,000 to 2,000 players isn't going to be a lot when you consider how many players are going to be interested in playing this one, especially when you have a lot of creators, streamers, and things like that all bringing their community in at once. It's going to get pretty crazy. So I'm thinking even when we, you know, announce our server, depending on like how they name them, because if they actually have a server named Isabella, that's probably the one I'm going for, to be honest. But yeah, I don't know how that's going to go. I think the servers might die at least, you know, once or twice a day or so. I think it's going to be pretty rough. Game size, we're not 100% sure on that. Actually, I mean, I don't think I can tell you how much the size of my file is, but I don't know if they mentioned that. Let me check their FAQ. Hold on. Just double check and make sure. I don't think they said it, or size. No. Yeah. I don't think we know so far, but graphically, you know, we know how this game looks. It's pretty impressive graphically. I think it's probably going to be, you know, at least 50 gig plus, around there. Maybe they'll be able to condense it down to like 30 or so, but yeah, it's a pretty graphically intensive game. Plus the system specs are kind of on the high end. You know, you got like 16 gigs of RAM and stuff like that in the recommended, which seems to be a pretty standard nowadays. But yeah, I think it's probably going to be like anywhere from 30 to 50 minimum. How's the combat in the classless? So New World features a classless based system, so it's not really like class based, it's more weapon based. So I'm also going to be making a video on this later on, but we've got about, I believe I marked down, we have about 15 weapons that we've seen so far. Let me see if I can name them all. Sword and shield, throwing axe. The one-handed mace was available in the previous alpha back in like 2019, 2018. Gauntlet, well, life staff and fire staff. I'm going to say that's 5 right there. Then we have the spear, two-handed. Then we have the bow, musket, pistol. That's 9. And then we have the great sword. I didn't realize this at first, but where is it? Apparently, someone mentioned this to me, because I missed it. I would have totally covered it beforehand. Here it is. In this clip right here, and this is also included on their Steam page. You probably didn't see it, but you see that guy right there? Play that again. That appears to be a greatsword right there. And I had to zoom in on it when I first saw it, because I just couldn't believe it and that I missed it. But this is also on the Steam page. There's a selection of gifts underneath the actual game description. That appears to be a greatsword. So that's 10 right there. And then the other 5, I'm probably going to like say a duplicate, but there's at least like 3 to 5 more or so. And then they all have their own skill trees, and that's how the progression system works. Basically, you gain experience with the weapon by using it, and then you're able to choose like the actual skills that you're going to use, as well as passives and things like that. Let me see, where's that skill tree at? Oh yeah, I marked it as attributes. Yeah, you'll have the actual skills here, then you'll have the passives, and you'll be able to actually morph the skills themselves to upgrade them, to get them to do different things. And there's one for each different weapon, and there's 2 different like specialization paths you can go down. So this one will be the melee based one for throwing axe. This one is the throwing based one. In the PvP aspect, I thought they were going for a PvP flag type of deal. I can't. Yeah, they have the open world PvP. They do have the open world opt-in PvP is the thing. People won't be flagged up by default. The only time it'll auto flag you is when the PvP missions are accepted. So when you accept a PvP mission to try to gain influence for your faction to declare on another territory, that's when you get automatically flagged as PvP. Other than that, it's opt-in only, so it's optional, or territory wars when people are fighting in the 50v50 battles. I think there's more that they can add on that aspect, because I don't, from what we know so far, I don't know if it's going to satisfy players that like PvP, because there's different crowds between people that want open world full loot PvP, and then there's another crowd for people that just like PvP. You know, there's people in games that play battlegrounds, arenas across like Elder Scrolls Online, World of Warcraft. Even Final Fantasy 14 has the Feast, I believe it's called, if I remember right. They have at least 2 to 3 PvP modes. One is where each of the 3 factions go toe to toe, and the other one I believe is like a arena where a team versus team. But yeah, even Final Fantasy 14, a PvE based game like that, has, you know, more modes for PvP than just the open world aspect, even though there's no open world PvP in Final Fantasy 14 last I checked. But yeah, I think that they could definitely add more for this system. For this one, I think they could follow the Cyrodiil PvP method for Elder Scrolls Online, where they could add fortresses or points of interest on the map that we could fight over at all times, that are completely optional to go into, and they could even influence or like generate influence for us as we capture them, or give us rewards. Has the event happened yet? Not yet. Not yet. We're still waiting. Also, hey there, doing pretty good. How about yourself? How are you doing? Hope you're doing good. Personal synopsis of the market system. Also, is it economy player driven? Oh yeah, give me a second. Hold on one second. But how does the current alpha compare to the previous? Yeah, I can't say on the current content, but yeah, I don't even know how I can answer that. I'd say that if you play the previous alpha, this one you'll notice. Yeah, you'll notice the changes. I'll say that. You'll definitely notice. Can you give a brief personal synopsis of the market system? So right now, all we know about the market system, because they haven't, in the previous alpha, they have what was called a trading post, where we were actually able to like list items. I believe we were even able to sell items to it to earn money. But they haven't really gone into that. They have shown us tax system, and I believe one of these icons might actually be for a trading tax. Sorry. So like for the actual trading post. Let me see if I can find it. It was in when I covered the housing blog. I'm not even sure if I'll be able to find it here. No, wait, no. It was a territory blog, actually. That's what it was. But maybe I can find it, maybe not. This is housing stuff. Probably not. Yeah, but yeah, there was like a picture or like a little section in there where we could actually see which kinds of taxes we were going to be coming across. One of them definitely looked like they were going to be housing. Another one looked like it was going to be crafting, and another for refining. And the last one looked like it was a trading tax. But I probably can't find it right now. Sorry about that. I have a lot of stuff in here. Why use many words when few do the trick? Current favorite plan feature. So far, my favorite plan feature, they haven't revealed their actual roadmap yet, but they have said that they have about 12 months worth of content in their current roadmap. Maybe if I can find that as well, I can show you, because I have it here. So there's 2 pictures for this one. So yeah, they've said that they plan to support the game for up to 10 years. I covered a video on that called 10 Years of New World, and that was in the Respawn First article that they mentioned that. But right now, they say, this was back in February that they said this, they have about 12 months worth of content. And then during the first 3 months, it'll probably change as players, start reporting feedback. and then stuff happens that they have to fix, like balance issues and stuff like that, then that's bound to change. But during the first 12 months, apparently they do have quite a bit planned for us, but we don't know what they're planning so far. But right now, the current features, the one that I'm most excited to get involved with is probably the corrupted breaches, and I would say probably the field bosses or world bosses if they have them. That's something that I would really love to become a part of and try out. Do you know all the weapons in New World? Yes, I do. Maybe, you know what? Maybe if I can just go to my concept folder, I'll probably just tell you. Yeah, you can't see this yet. That's for the future. Yeah, so there's about 15 I marked out so far. So let me write these down. Actually, I have some notes here. Sword and shield for the first one. Muskets, bow, pistol, great sword. From what we've seen so far, apparently there is a great sword that was teased in that fire magic clip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then we have the one-handed mace, but that's only concept art right now. That was in the previous alpha, but they don't. I don't know if they have that in the new one now. They haven't shown us yet. Then they have spear, so that's 7, right? 2, 4. Yeah, okay, 7. And then we have the warhammer. Seen that one before. The throwing axe, 9. And then we have the life staff and fire staff. Those are easy. That's 11. And then what am I forgetting? Great axe. That's 12. And then there was at least 3 more. I said spear, great axe, one-handed mace, gauntlets. I think I might have included that in there too. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I included gauntlets. That's 13. And there was 2 more in there that we've seen. Rape. Oh yeah. By the way, I know it's pronounced rapier. I'm so sorry. For some reason, I just like saying rapier, and I know melee is melee, but for some reason, like, my pronunciation got pretty screwed up when I was a kid, so I love saying melee. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and there was one more that I can't really think about right now that I said I saw. We saw the rapier during the actual third developer diary, and I can show you that right now. Actually, they showed us that one and the pistol, and it was actually for a split second, but I actually was talking to some people that heard rumors that they were bringing the rapier, and then I didn't believe it too much until I actually saw it. Oh yeah, I have it in here. Hold on. Where is it? The third developer diary, dev diary 3. There it is. So in here, there's an actual part in here where this guy's getting hit by a great axe. Let me see if I can skip to it. And the way that I identified this right away was by his stance when he gets hit. I probably scrolled past it already. Let me see. The throwing axe, PvP. Yeah, let me go back. It's for a short amount of time. You wouldn't really notice it unless you were paying attention. Where are you? And they also show it at one point where they're holding a shield as well with the rapier. There it is. Bam, right there. Notice that, and right away I knew. Rapier. We gotta have it. So yeah, that and the reason that it appears to be a different weapon from the one-handed sword is because if you look at the one-handed sword and the way that it moves and the way that the animations look, the stance that the person takes here looks completely different. It looks like they're actually casting a skill, as opposed to the one-handed sword and shield, which would look different if you're doing like a charge move or an auto attack. So yeah, that's rapier right there. We also see it earlier in the video where he's just holding the shield and the rapier too. Let's see. Okay, so the PC Gamer event. We're still waiting on the New World segment to begin. It looks like they've started the show, so I'm going to keep eyes on it just to make sure. Just in case. Okay. How big is the game file? Not sure yet. What's my opinion on them using ARPG style loot system? Right now, I think that it could potentially work. It's going to depend on a lot of things. One thing I don't want to see is too many RNG mechanics implemented in the game's progression. I don't think that we should have too much left up to RNG. I think that if you spend like 5 months grinding somewhere, you should have something to show at the end of that kind of thing. Crossbow, maybe I would love to see a crossbow in the game. But yeah, I think that it could work. We'll have to see for sure, though. How New World's crafting will hold up from Albion Online. I think it'll be a little bit similar from what we've seen so far, but we'll have to see to know for sure. I think it might have just skipped over like a lot of people's questions. So if you had another one, just send it through. I'll see it. Is there stealth or dual wield? Thank you so much for the donation. So far we haven't seen either. Nope, haven't seen either so far. But hopefully, because that's a highly requested weapon right there.
LDF.org.
Let me see.
If you want to support this and get some great games in the process, hundreds of developers have joined together at
Can you guys hear that okay?
to create the bundle for racial justice and equality. It's a pay whatever you want for the bundle, and
I want to make sure we can hear it okay before they get to the New World segment.
Fund and the Community Bail Fund. There's a lot more resources and information we'd like to share, so PC Gamer has created an ongoing list of ways that you can get involved in supporting protesters. That's at pcgamer.com.
Does it sound okay?
Black Lives Matter.
All right, I'll mute that for now, just until they get to the New World segment. What are my specs? So far, so I don't know if I can really say how my game runs, but I do just fine in the actual alpha so far. Yeah, I've been doing just fine, and my specs are i7-8700K for my processor. Graphics card is a 2060 GTX, and it runs pretty fine. It runs pretty good, actually, most of the time. Can't say much more than that, though. Have you reached any cap? Are you full out? Yes, I'm actually capped out in the alpha. I'm pretty sure I can say that. Capped out, and I think you guys have actually seen... Well, no, I can't say that, no. You may have seen me before, but I don't know how many of you have when it comes to the leaked footage and stuff. But yeah, I'm at level 60. I've maxed out all the weapon trees, and I've tested quite a bit. I've explored the entire map like about twice. I know where most of the resources are, which I'll definitely be going into before the game comes out and when the NDA actually goes down. But there's still a couple resources that still elude me. But yeah, I know quite a bit about the game so far. Do you believe in the closed beta that there will be more content than there is in the alpha at the moment? I believe what they say when they say that right now. I don't know if they mentioned it publicly, so I might not be able to say it. Thank you so much, by the way. But in terms of their content, I don't think we'll see a lot when it comes to the actual beta. I think that right now they're probably feature complete, and that anything they're doing now probably just has to do with like balancing out the game optimization and making sure that everything runs well. I don't know if we'll actually see more than we've already learned about. I think that in the first couple of months, they'll start implementing some stuff. It's all going to depend on how fast they implement content as well, because I think that the game itself is going to have a rough start for the first 6 to 12 months. But what is that? Oh, okay, that's not us. That's not us. Oh, also, to whoever asked what we were waiting for, sorry about that. We're actually waiting for the New World segment to start, so I'm just keeping this here and answering questions in the meantime. And then as soon as it does, we're gonna full screen it and talk about it together. Hold on, is the music playing? Okay, cool. There are criticisms for New World's lack of control for large-scale organization play. Any guild company with more than 10 players can't fully organize. How have the devs responded? Criticisms for the lack of control for large-scale play. So you're talking about like guilds that have, you know, like hundreds or like 100 or more players, from what I understand here. Like you're talking about big guilds. So I see what you're saying. Yeah. So the devs' response on that, I can't talk about publicly. They do know though that there are suggestions that have been made against the current systems. So in terms of like the invasions, for instance, like I think you're talking about that too, like how only a certain amount of people can be reserved for the invasion defense, up to 10, and then after that it's just random people. They know that. They know that players have issues with that. So yeah, I think we'll in the future have to see what they do with that information. But for right now, we can't talk about how they've responded just yet. But we'll be able to talk about that later, though, for sure. You say use the same alias in the alpha. Yes, I do. Correct. Do we need to level up Arcana to craft the life fire staff? Actually, they have said that for crafting magical equipment that we would use Arcana. Yeah, they, as an Arcanist, yeah, they have said that. Actually, I might be able to find it in the dev diary. Let me see. Arcanist, potions, and the creation of fire staffs. Yeah, so yeah, you would create fire staves under the Arcanist profession. Correct. Hold on, it skipped ahead. Let me go back. What's the level cap in New World? Level 60. Level 60. You said too low? Okay, I'll turn it up before it starts. I'll turn it up for sure. They said we will have 5 points for each attribute in the beginning, which means total 25 points. 60 total. Yeah, 60 total from what we've seen so far, from what we understand. So yeah, at the beginning of the game, it's going to be 5 strength, 5 contribution, 5 focus, 5 intelligence, and 5 dexterity. And then we gain 1 point per level. So you could put 55 points into strength and then have like 4 or 5 left over. But jewelry is going to increase your attributes as well. So when it comes to getting past that soft cap, that's where jewelry is going to come into play, and gems as well, because you'll be able to socket your gear. And then, you socket it due to like the chance, but you can increase the chances by putting more resources into the final product. And then once you have a gem slot, then you can increase the attributes further with a gem. A little quiet. Okay, no problem. No problem. One of my friends doesn't play MMOs much, plays a lot of Mordhau and games like that. Do you think New World is a good game for casuals? I think that the game itself, it's probably going to try and cater more to casuals now, since it made the PvP change and the changes since the previous alpha. Yeah, I think there will be a place for casual players for sure. And since the game features opt-in PvP, it's probably going to be a little bit easier for you to play as a casual player now. So yeah, I think there will be a place for you as a casual player. Our pet houses decor. Oh, pets house decor. Do they have craft buffs? Can they be companions on adventures? Very curious on that as well, Ryan. We haven't actually had confirmation on that yet, but so far we know that we will get a pet for a pre-order bonus. So we'll have to wait and see, but we're not sure exactly just yet. Okay. Let me hold the questions for now. We're going to go ahead and start watching a little bit here, just to make sure we don't miss out on anything. Give me 1 second. Okay, I turned the volume up a little bit. Hopefully that'll be a little bit better. And
your legend awaits.
There we go.
Oh, DevBot, please connect me with one of those developers.
You got it, Sean.
Joining me today to talk about Torchlight 3 is Max Schaefer. Max, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Now, Max, Torchlight 2's story began
You guys hear it
with
okay?
the alchemist from the original Torchlight becoming corrupted and evil. How does Torchlight 3's story tie into the first two?
Well, we're in the same world.
Actually, we're good. We're good. I'm going to go back to minimizing it. Okay. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys could hear that as well just before they get to the New World segment. Hopefully it sounds okay. Is there any way the release date on early access? You mean like, will they release the date early? So far, we know that it's August 25th, but we're not sure if they're going to release it early or have a beta date announced today. That's going to be a lot earlier than that, but hopefully we'll get a beta date. That's what we're hoping for. It is good. Okay, sweet. All right. Also, I know my responses might be a little bit delayed. I think it's like on a 20 or 30-second delay by default. That's just on YouTube gaming side. But thank you guys so much. Perfect. Okay. Do you think they should add a Viking dagger? I would love to see something like that. I think they should definitely add weapons and armor based off of previous civilizations. I think that is a good way for New World to go. And since they teased the Viking picture, I mean, I've just started thinking about like the Romans and all the other civilizations since then. You know, there's so many different ones that they could go with. I think they could actually really succeed with the game by going that route. Like if they tied the history, the alternate version of history in this case, to New World, I think that they could actually have a lot of good weapons and armor. Thank you so much for the donation as well. Is there halberd? Yes, there is actually. That was the last weapon. Thank you. God, that's the one. Hold on. Actually, when I covered the corrupted breaches and the invasions, the very first picture in the developer blog, boom, halberd. Now that one looks different than the spear because the stance that someone would use when they're holding the spear in this game looks very different to that. So that's what led me to believe that this is in its own weapon class. So the halberds might be completely separate. But yeah, that's the one. Thank you so much. Yep, we should have halberds. Have you seen the New World is going to be a disaster video? For Neckrage's video, yes, I have seen it. I don't remember everything that he mentioned in his video. I can understand where he's coming from to a degree. I can't comment on a lot of that because they would be breaking NDA for sure. But for the invasion system and the Vanguard system, that's something I've already said that, yeah, I totally get that. I've had a problem with that as well, the invasion part. I think if they increase the amount of people that can defend from 20 people to 20 or 25, like being reserved wise, like increase it from 10 to 25. That way you leave less of it to chance. Like if you get a lot of people or just, you know, even a few people that want to sabotage the invasion, it won't matter as much if you have like 20 to 25 people that are from your company and know what they're doing, kind of thing. But I totally get why that they want to include everybody. They want to make sure everybody's included. But yeah, I think that something like that might end up causing an issue at some point. And then also the Vanguard system with like one-person guilds and things like that being able to get the declaration in the end. I could see that being an issue as well. But they definitely are aware of that, though. They're definitely aware. PvP Realm vs. Realm was cool in Dark Age of Camelot. Love Dark Age of Camelot. Yes, actually, yeah, part of what I suggested was a system like ESO Cyrodiil system, like where they put open world points of interest, fortifications, things like that we can fight over, maybe for rewards or maybe just to generate influence. Like it could be a part of the faction system, and I think it would still work pretty well. I'd love to see something like that in the game. I think that it could still fit their vision of everything being optional in terms of PvP, and at the same time give something for PvP players to do all day long. I think I'd like that as well. Still waiting on that New World segment, but I think they might announce it on their Twitter. I'm gonna keep eyes on it on my other screen just in case. But if not, we'll still be watching, so we'll know exactly when it's gonna happen. Just like if I, for some reason, if I'm like going on a question answering spree and someone notices that they're doing the New World stuff now, if you just like start poking the crap out of me, I should notice it. And typing in all caps. What type, or maybe not all caps, because I think hopefully the system won't flag it for that, like automatically, but just like poke me a bunch. What type of attributes? Attribute magic. So the attributes for magic is going to be intelligence and focus from what we've seen so far. Is that Destiny? I believe that's Destiny. Oh yeah, it is. Okay, I think so. But yeah, intelligence and focus so far. That's what we've seen. We don't know if there's going to be anything else in terms of perks that are going to assist with that. Like maybe what I'd love to see in the future is if they implement armor perks. Like for light armor, you could get maybe a little bit of a bonus or a lot of bonuses for using magic. And then for medium, it could be something where it's like a dexterity bonus or possibly like ranged weapons. That way you have like some more diverse armor situations going on. And maybe you could switch it up where maybe if you wanted to have a medium armor warrior, so it's not as you know, narrow, then you could do something like that as well, where you get perks for that kind of thing too. Oh, Satisfactory. No, wait, what? Odyssey. Oh. Did not see that one coming. You're looking at top chat, not live chat. Hold on. Try to switch that. Are you more excited for... Oh, yeah, actually, no, I meant to keep looking at top chat because I think it refreshed it. That's okay, though. Are you more excited or disappointed about New World so far? I'm more excited because I think that the MMO genre definitely could use some new blood. I think that it's good to have competition for the other ones, and it's been years since we've really had anything decent. And in this game, I can see a future in it. Like for myself playing it wise and covering it wise, and for the community itself, I could definitely see it being very decent in the future. I think it's going to have a rocky start, maybe about 6 or 7 months or so. But after that, I think there's a lot of potential there. So right now, even with everything we've seen so far, you know, the issues, potential issues, and the successes that we've seen from it, I'm still hopeful for it. I'm still very excited. Is this New World? Not yet. We're still waiting on the segment for New World to begin, but during that time, we're going to be able to answer some questions for you guys. How does the scale of the map feel? Is there anything in the form of mounts? They haven't mentioned mounts yet, but in terms of the actual scale of the map, it's about 40 kilometers squared. That's what we found out last time in the MMORPG article. Actually, let me see if I can go to that directly for you. 40 kilometers squared, which is actually a little bit bigger than the size of Skyrim, in fact. Map. Wait a second. It was in one of these. This is my... Oh, yeah, here we go. Map size. So, yeah, they mentioned in the MMORPG interview that it was going to be about 40 kilometers squared for New World. Yeah, so we might not have the full map inside the alpha. I can't talk about, you know, the alpha itself and what's in there right now. But I'd say that if it's going to be 40 kilometers squared, then, yeah, we might have a decent amount of space to move around in. Might not take you a long time to move from the left side to the right side of the map, but we should have a decent amount of space at least. What's up, Relic? Did you have fun while playing the game? That's the big question. Addictive? So, in terms of the game right now, it's addictive enough for me to see myself putting another 1,000 hours into it. Even if they didn't add anything else, I could 100% see myself playing for another 500 to 1,000 hours. The reason for that, a lot of it is because, and I think you'll notice it. How much can I even say on that? I probably can't say much more, but the unique aesthetic of it, because there's only a couple games that really go for this type of graphic fidelity. Like you would see like BDO, Elder Scrolls Online, games like that. We don't really have a lot of games in the genre right now that look like this and then have this kind of combat system. So I think for me, that's one of the biggest parts about it, in terms of how I'm able to put so much time into it, but also just the thought of like what it could actually turn into in the future. I'm seeing like a spark of light in this one. I'm definitely seeing. I know it's going to have a rocky start, just based on a couple things, but I'm definitely seeing a light in this one. Did the announcement already happen? Nope, we're still waiting on it right now. Is there a transmog type of system? Not that we've heard of so far publicly, but I can't talk about the actual alpha, but not that we've heard of so far. I don't think they're planning to do anything like that, but they will have a cosmetic only cash shop is what they are saying currently, that they're planning to have a cosmetic cash shop. Do you have to be in a group or can you solo everything in this game? One thing that I noticed about the previous alpha was that you could actually play as a solo player to a degree. They had things like trading posts where you could actually sell items to the actual like auction house, which I did kind of like actually. For this new one, they seem to be gearing the game to kind of cater to everybody, including players that are more casual or individual. So I think that as a solo player, yes, you could, and especially because they're making it more faction based instead of company and guild based. So as long as you're a part of a faction, which you choose one at level 10, then you're always going to be working with somebody. So yeah, I think you'll be just fine as an individual player. I'm planning to do that when the game goes into beta. I'm actually going to be a part of the Marauder side, but I'm going to remain guildless. And there's a reason for that I'll go into later as well. Will the game contain pay to win items in store or just cosmetics? So hopefully we don't get anything pay to win related. So far they've just said cosmetic only is what they're planning to go for. At the very least, decorations for houses as well. And then Twitch Prime cosmetics, but they do not want to go pay to win. And this comes from Scott Lane. They misspelled his name, but this was the French-based article that came out around February when they had their media event, where a lot of media websites and things like that started releasing articles for interviews that they did with Amazon Game Studios. Thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate you. Can I spread the word of God? You know what? You can do anything you want. Actually, in the previous alpha, they did have voice in game, and I believe they said in this version they also will have VoIP too. So yeah, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to do that for sure. As for player skill cap, how well is the combat system implemented? Will I be able to do more if I'm good at the game and unlock hidden potential? Yeah, so what they've described the game as so far is they want to have it more tied to skill, instead of just, you know, how good your gear is, how long you've played to a degree. They want to make it more skill based. So yeah, that's going to be very important. The combat system even looks like it's going to value positioning, the actual, you know, skill of the player much more than the actual gear that you craft. So I think yeah, you'll probably be able to reach that hidden potential and start going Achilles on people and stuff like that. Can you play this game to level 60 without picking a faction? Very interesting, very interesting question. And I do have an answer for you, Mean, but it's I can't talk about it because it talks about alpha experiences. But I think you'll be interested to see how that plays out. Yeah, I think you'll be interested. They haven't said anything on it publicly yet, but in terms of not choosing a faction, you'll be interested to find out the answer to that. Is archery viable? Oh yeah, absolutely. From what we've seen so far for the bow system, they do have a custom aiming reticle for it, just like the muskets and the pistols. But we haven't seen the actual bow skill tree. But as far as we've seen, yeah, archery definitely seems to be viable for sure. We don't know much more than that, but yeah, you're always going to need archers for sure, especially with territory wars on the defending side. Archery is going to be very useful. Increase the size of it a little bit. The theater mode might be better. Yeah, theater mode. Okay. Also, for those of you joining today and joining right now, thank you so much for waiting. We're just waiting for the New World segment to begin. In the meantime, we're just answering some questions. So if you have any, please be sure to at me, and I'll be able to see it easier. Must you pick a faction? That goes into Mean's question as well. I think you'll be interested to see the result of that, but I can't talk about that right now. What do you think about switch mainly from PvP aim game to some kind of hybrid system like traditional MMOs? I like, you know, honestly, I love sandbox MMOs. I love the ones that offer the open world PvP, whether it's, you know, ganking related, full loot, doesn't matter to me. I love it both ways. And I think that this honestly might be the smarter decision for them, because I've seen what happens when you have like open world PvP and like ganking related games. Like, for an example, go right to my profile, Mortal Online. When the game itself first released on Steam, I fell in love with it. I did a lot of crafting, and it was a really big influx of players right away. I joined the Tendrum City, and I kept to myself. I made sure to not leave the city for the first like 2 or 3 weeks, because I knew people were just getting decapitated all day long outside there. And I noticed like really quick the population started to dwindle. But when it happened to me, like when I got killed in games like Mortal or Darkfall or even Albion, that just drove me to like improve myself as a player, to, you know, get better gear, learn what I was doing, and join a guild. And then I found that when I reached that pinnacle where I was actually able to do that and fight people, it felt more, it gave me a better sense of accomplishment than when I would do it in traditional games. So these kinds of games, they'll always have a place in my heart for sure, but there's also, it's a double-edged sword, because you will very quickly see the repercussions of a full gank system. And player bases, a lot of times, you know, some players, they just log in, you know, for a couple hours a day. They just want to have fun, and, you know, walking outside a city and losing like literally 20 to 60 hours of progression, that can kind of suck. So I totally get it. But I'm interested to see where they go with it. I think that either way you slice it, I think the company would have had the potential to improve on the old system or try other alternatives, and like a RuneScape method, like the Wilderness, for instance, or just in-game lawless zones. You know, there's ways to get around that, but now that they've gone this route, there's still ways they can improve the system for sure. And I think that they'll hopefully be dedicating themselves to always trying to improve. And with our help, you know, with the players' help, they can get to that point of still making this a good game. But yeah, I think it'll be okay as long as they continue to listen to the player base. There's still ways that we can have it both ways, like if they did consider lawless zones in the future, but at the same time, that gets into the territory where a lot of players wouldn't like that. So if they don't want to go that route, if it doesn't fit the vision, we got to think of other things they can do to still make the game successful. That's the key. Marauder for life. Hell yeah. Thank you so much for the dono. What's the music playlist? Really like it. Do you have a link? I don't have a link to it directly. It's actually music that I was able to get through my network, but Epidemic Sound is where it comes from. It's a website that you can actually get royalty-free music, and I highly recommend them for sure. They have a lot of good tunes, but that's where I got it from. But maybe in the future, I'll probably try to make something like that for you guys. Does stats affect crafting like decks? Not from what we've seen so far. Haven't seen anything that affects crafting. But trophies, housing trophies that you can get through furnishing, as well as food buffs, we have seen that those do affect crafting. Like in the previous dev blog, we noticed that for the food, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, for the food, the one all the way to the left, this one helps you with increasing the gear score that you get from crafting items for engineering. And same thing for like the housing trophies. We haven't seen like what the effects of them are individually, but they should also help with crafting too, instead of the actual stats themselves. How is the combat fluidity? So far, from what we've seen, I can see where it could. I've seen people say that it kind of looks clunky in some cases. I could totally understand and see that in some things that we've been shown. Like I think the Warhammer, maybe that's the one that kind of shows it more. Maybe the one-handed sword and shield as well. But so far, it does look like it can be improved upon, and like it's fluid enough to be enjoyed. I think that it's definitely fluid enough to be enjoyed, but there's always room for improvement, whether it's, you know, a AAA title or an indie. There's always room for improvement for sure. What's character creation going to be like? Actually, I can tell you a little bit about it, because they did mention it in the IGN interview back in February. They told us that, and we didn't really cover it in depth because it wasn't really that big at the time, but they told us that for the character creation, it was pretty much in its like basic state. Like there wasn't a lot of choices and stuff like that. Of course, they couldn't choose like racial traits, like being a dwarf and elf, because of course this is New World, not, you know, like a fantasy MMO. But yeah, they said that the choices overall were pretty basic, and then also that we could actually choose classes, like predefined classes. So we would be able, not like, you know, like your class, like you're going to be able to stick with that the entire game, but loadouts. So if you start as like a blacksmith, for instance, that they mentioned, you could start out with like crafting tools and stuff like that. And then same thing for like a warrior based, I guess we can call it archetype. And then from there, you can kind of choose to stick with that or max out other things and go a completely different direction. What type of spec are you most interested in for your character? Definitely some kind of two-handed warrior. I'd love to see great swords actually be put into the game, or great axes, and I'm probably going to be like a berserker type character. So in territory wars, you're probably going to see me on the front lines, if possible, most likely yelling out random stuff like Leroy Jenkins and things like that. But no matter what, I definitely want to have a two-handed warrior. And then on the side, I'll definitely be using one-handed sword and shield as a tank. But in PvP, definitely like a berserker, full damage build, going in the front lines and just screwing stuff up and probably dying immediately. How disappointed I was with Dark and Light with the same ideas. You know what? Actually, okay, so yeah, I understand that too, like how I can support it so much, knowing how disappointed I was with Dark and Light. Dark and Light is a similar situation, actually. I think we waited like a year from the time we found out about that game to when it actually released. And Dark and Light did have a lot of issues, and it definitely wasn't anything close to what we expected. But over time, I realized, even though I told myself I wouldn't support a game like that again, that a lot of times we're just kind of moving from game to game. You know, like it's just a hype train that we jump on, and then once the game actually comes out, we play a few weeks. It's not ready right now. Maybe I'll come back later. But then we never do. And you know, like Dark and Light, if you were to play it today, you know, you might end up getting like at least 30-40 hours out of it. It might be a decent game, But with MMOs, after I found out like, hey, I really need a game like this, you know, I started thinking to myself, I can only go so long on like single player RPGs and RTS games and things like that. But MMOs, it's like where I live. It's like, it's definitely what I need. And I think I'm done with, you know, not giving games a chance past my own opinion. I think that even if the game itself has a rocky start, which I'm definitely expecting it to, I'm going to push myself to stick with it, because I don't want to go another year like waiting for something that may or may not work out, or I don't want to go another year waiting for a game to be decent and then missed all the experiences leading up to that point. I want to be there from the very beginning. Can I turn up my voice volume? Absolutely. Okay, is that a little bit better? Hopefully. Did you think this game has some Albion Online mechanics like PvP, looting, etc.? Well, no, originally when we did the when we played the pre-alpha, yeah, I experienced that and stuff like that, but now they're not going that route. They're going away from that route, so it's going to be much different than that. They're not going to have that. Can you not pick a faction? I can't answer that directly, but I think you'll be interested to see what the answer to that is. Two-handed hammer animation, so left-handed style at all times. Also, by the way, thank you guys so much for the ones that are joining. We're just waiting on the New World segment to begin for the PC Gamer Show. And then as soon as it is, we're going to full screen it and talk about it together. The event itself is only lasting for 2 hours, so we should be coming up on it hopefully pretty soon. But if I don't notice it, just make sure to poke me repeatedly, and then I'll notice. I'm checking like live chat, and then I'm checking the questions at the same time. But I'll definitely miss some. Sorry about that if I do. Can you disclose any information about the gunpowder-based weaponry, the pistols and the muskets? Nothing. Not more than we've seen so far, I can't. But so far, it seems like they're going to be pretty interesting to use. I'm expecting from those guns, it might take a little bit of time to reload them. You know, like with guns back in the 17th century or, you know, whatnot, they were like really crazy when it came to the reload times. So I'm expecting it to be a little bit on the longer side as opposed to bow weapons. So I would expect guns to be more useful for like territory sieges, and then bows to be more useful for like in the field skirmishes or open world opt-in PvP. Do you know if we have controller support? They haven't said that we do, but I remember they actually had a tweet when somebody tweeted at them and asked them if controllers would be a thing in the future, and they said that that was something they would take a look at launch, but I don't know if they're actually going to do it or not though. Can we see the screenshots of the weapons and clothing you have there? Yeah. Hold on. Concept. So right now it doesn't include all of it. I can show you guys these ones, and then I have some more. So this one is one of the cloth sets. We're not sure if we're going to actually see this one in game, but I think in one of the tweets I may have seen one at least close to this. This is the straight sword right here, the spears, and we also have some more screenshots of like the halberd weapon and other ones that we've seen in previous footage. The muskets right here, great axes, which I'm really excited to see this weapon as well. This was the one-handed maces. We haven't seen this in previous footage yet, but this one was included in the previous alpha though. And then this is the bows right here, of course, which most likely are going to be more useful for like skirmishes and open world opt-in PvP. And the gauntlets was the previous weapon, the previous alpha's life or healing weapon. We used to use this for healing, but now they're going the staff route. But I'm really hoping they bring the gauntlets back. Maybe they could bring them back as an attack magic item, or maybe bring it back as a healing item still, but give it a couple extras. And that's all I have for the concept right now. And then the knives, the lumberjack axes, and things like that. If you're looking for any more of them, though, specifically, I can find those for you too. Also, let me turn the music down just a little bit. There we go. Is it hard to reach max level? I can't talk about the alpha itself. But for a game like this, I would imagine that it's gonna take quite a while to reach max level. Like maybe about maybe about a week and a half, 2 weeks or so, which isn't that really that long in hindsight, but that's if you're playing like 6 to 8 hours a day or so, is what I would imagine. What are your thoughts on how the economy will be for crafting, trading focused players? For the economy and the crafting itself, I think that early on, crafters will be able to thrive. I think that you'll be able to sell a lot of items that you make. You'll have the ability to, make quite a bit of money. But I think at a certain point, because the game has drifted away from the actual opt-in open world PvP, that at some point everybody's going to have all the best gear, and then the crafting might start to suffer a little bit. So I think at that point, hopefully they start adding more tiers of crafting and stuff like that to the game. But yeah, I think that at some point it's going to hit a stop where the economy just kind of comes to a halt. But we'll have to see, how that goes in practice. Does armor break, rendering them useless? We know there's a durability system from what we've seen so far. Yeah, there actually is a couple perks that we've seen that actually do feature a durability increase on them. So based off of that information, we can see that they do have a durability system, but in terms of breaking entirely, we don't know yet. So like you'd see this Orichalcum sword right here has a durability increase, 50%. So that means that there will be a durability system and we'll have to repair it. And this was also mentioned in the Arena Dev blog, if I remember right as well. But we don't know if they're going to break and we'll have to recraft items though. That part we don't know. Hold up. Everyone asks, where's beta? What's up, Jacob? Doing pretty good. How about yourself? Can't wait for the New World segment. Is there an audio chat? Like for the PC Gamer, we have it muted right now, but as soon as they tune in, as soon as they start the New World segment, we're going to full screen it and talk about it directly, if that's what you mean. Do you think hybrid builds will be a thing? Yes. Will there be dual blades like an assassin? Not that we've seen so far, but that is a highly requested feature from the players outside of the alpha. Hybrid builds, yeah, we've actually seen that the intelligence stat can actually allow you to increase the damage of your magical weapons, but also it can increase the effectiveness of magical perks. So if you have a weapon like a sword that has a flaming attribute on it, the intelligence will actually increase that. So you can, in fact, be like a hybrid where you're like a battle mage, for instance. You could do that too. How does the weapon swapping work in the game right now? Basically where you have a weapon on your back and then you have one that you're using currently. And then once you try to switch it, like let me see if I can find, where is it? Yeah. This was the GameStar interview where they actually had expanded footage on what we had seen in a previous developer blog. So they took it further and gave us some more exclusive gameplay. So right now you can see the person using a spear. He throws it, and then he switches to sword. So once he did that, though, the cooldowns are shared. So what he just did on his spear, it's going to transfer over to the sword. So like how you saw when he first threw that spear, it's going to trigger like a 4 or 5 second cooldown or so. 6 seconds? Yeah, 6.5 or 7. And then, yeah, it stays on the sword. So you'll have to be very careful with what weapons you bring into battle and also how you manage your cooldowns. It's going to be very important. Can you talk about the company player cap? Is there a limit of how many you can have in a guild? Oh, actually, previous articles said 50. The MMORPG article mentioned it specifically, but that's the only information we've had on it so far. We know that territory wars are 50v50, but I would imagine that the MMORPG article that mentioned that is probably spot on with that as well. Do you do YouTube full time? No, I'm actually a work at home tech. So I take calls from customers that have issues with like phones and tablets, any Apple products. So I'm a work at home tech for Apple products like iPhones, iPads, things like that. I don't do Mac though. We're not that fancy yet. But no, I don't do it full time. Thank you so much, BDLG. I appreciate it. Hope you're having a good day today. God, I hope I don't miss the New World segment. I'm still watching, I promise, but I'm not sure if they're gonna actually bring someone out that we'll recognize or announce it on the screen to where we can see it. Hopefully they show it on the screen as like a graphic. But yeah, there won't be any like weapon dancing or stance dancing. We'll have to be very careful with that stuff. But the focus attribute will actually allow you to reduce the cooldowns on your weapons. So that's going to be an important attribute if you're a min-maxer or someone who likes the theory craft. That's going to be very important to test out to see what you can do with that kind of thing. Will we be able to respec out points without a cost? Oh yeah, so for respecking, you can actually respec your attributes by spending gold. At level 60, from what we've seen so far, that amount totals out to about 2,000 gold that you're going to need to respec, like we got shown in this previous developer diary. And then for the actual weapon trees, they haven't shown us the actual cost yet, but they said that to respec those, you'll have to spend Azoth. And to get Azoth, you'll be able to get it by farming mobs from what we've seen so far. And also you'll be able to, okay, just making sure. You'll also be able to get it from corrupted invasions and maybe even corrupted breaches. Can you dual wield or even triple wield? Thank you so much for the donation. Thank you so much, Arthur. Actually, they didn't say anything about dual wielding just yet, but that is something that's highly requested. And we also haven't seen the actual gauntlets in the previous footage yet. So we're still waiting on that, but hopefully they'll bring the gauntlets back. Also, happy birthday to you, Bush. Happy birthday. Are the weapons performing clearly superior in PvE or PvP than others? I think, well, one of the potential issues from what we've seen so far that I can see is that there might be some balancing issues early on when we first get into game. We don't know. Well, I mean, I can't talk about it publicly in terms of how the balance is in the alpha right now, but I think that's a potential issue in terms of, you know, weapons performing clearly superior to others in PvE or PvP. I think we'll probably see something like that happening. Do you think it's a good idea to limit the amount of crafting skills you can pick, the maximum of 2? I think it can actually promote synergy within the community. So like if let's say Jeff down the hall, he makes potions, but I make weapons and armor. Then I go to Jeff, I'll be like, hey, do you need this orichalcum sword? Do you need anything? Something like that. And then Jeff gives me potions in return. Or in a guild sense, if you have people that specialize in these kinds of crafts, I think, yeah, it could definitely promote synergy there too. And then let's say if somebody like falls off the game and stops playing, then somebody else has to step up and take that reign. But I also like the idea, because I like it both ways. I also like the idea of being able to max out everything on one character, because when games, you know, practice that over having alts, I like it because I get attached to my one character when I first start playing a game, and I never really want to use alts after that point. So I definitely think that I could get behind that. But it's all depending on how they, you know, implement it. If the progression for the crafting itself takes a while to progress through, like if you have to take a little bit of time to go from 0 to 60, but then after that, if you want to go higher than 60, then it's going to take a long while, then I think that's going to make people specialize a little bit more to where we'll get that system anyway. Clearly support full looting. That stings a little bit. Hopefully they can find a way to make PvP still meaningful. I think that for the vision that they're going for right now, since they want to have the opt-in PvP, that they're kind of they're wanting to shy away from the actual open world PvP with full loot. I can totally understand that. I think there's definitely ways to still make PvP meaningful. Like some ideas that were mentioned were like the Dark Age of Camelot forts, for instance. I think this system would also be perfect for something like that, or maybe even Elder Scrolls Online Cyrodiil PvP, where we have capturable forts, you know, points of interest, stuff that we can fight over all day long. So the players that really enjoy that PvP aspect, they'll still have something to do while everybody else is waiting for the territory wars kind of thing. Also, hold on, I haven't drank any water in like 30 minutes. One sec. Okay. All right. Will there be any vertical mobility? Ooh. Okay. Well, dodging attacks will be important. Yes, positioning is going to be key when it comes to winning a battle. It's not going to be like you know, tab target lock onto somebody and you just shoot them with the fire blast. No, you're going to have to aim that shot. You're going to have to lead that shot based off of where they're going, and you're going to have to react to what they do. So yeah, in terms of vertical mobility abilities, we haven't seen a lot of that at all. But if they implemented a dual wielding weapon and then they made it to where you could actually jump up in the air really high, I think that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, I'd like to see something like that. It might get out of hand like after a certain point, but it'd be pretty cool. Are you able to tell us what weapons you used the most when you were playing the alpha? I can't say that. Well, I don't know. No, I don't think I can. But I can say that the ones that I'm interested in using right now is the great sword once they implement it later on, and then the great axe when they put that one in. I'm really interested in using both of those. Is there a melee tree skill for staves? They haven't shown us the actual skill trees for staffs so far, but I don't think there will be. For life staffs, they said that healing is a thing, of course, but for the actual fire staffs, they haven't talked about them that much in terms of the actual specs. Do you think katanas will be coming for the game? Maybe in the future. I would love to have a katana as well, especially with their own skill trees. Is this a New World presentation? Oh, sorry. We're still waiting for the New World segment to begin. We're just answering questions in the meantime. But I would love to see a katana, especially with them teasing past civilizations. I think that it would be really cool if in the future we had influences from the Japanese culture as well as Chinese culture as well. I would love to see something like that. Thank you. Is it going to have open world PvP? It's open world opt-in PvP. So people will be able to choose whether they want to fight or not. Is there in-game audio chat? As far as we know, there should be VoIP. Yeah, it hasn't been publicly confirmed, but as far as we know, there should be in-game voice chat. Correct. And in terms of the actual question that you had, opt-in world, so it's going to be open world opt-in PvP. So people will be able to choose if they want to flag up and fight, but PvP missions will auto flag them. So anytime someone wants to declare war on a territory, they're going to have to flag up by default, no matter what. Is there voice chat? Yep, absolutely. Skinny, thank you so much. I'm caught up. Perfect. Do you think beta will be like July 1st or more into the month? I had my money. I don't know. I had my thoughts on maybe. Also, thank you guys so much for the donations and appreciation. I love you guys so much. I had my money on like mid-July, like July 15th, or maybe end of July. But I think today we might actually find out for sure when the beta is going to happen. But I'm not 100% on that right now, to be honest with you. I think it could potentially be July 1st though, or early in the month. They could come out with an announcement and be like, hey, beta's July 5th, get ready. And then everybody just clears out their vacation time and gets ready to go. I think that could definitely happen. What stat does healing in the game scale with? As far as we know, intelligence. Intelligence should be the stat for that. Focus is specifically for like reducing cooldowns on abilities and mana regeneration from what they've said so far. So intelligence will actually be the stat you'll want to go for as a healer. Poisons or venoms, they haven't talked about anything like that, but that would be pretty sweet. Don't worry about the PC gamer. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Mohammed. In your opinion, what's the overpowered weapon? I can't talk about alpha experiences, but the one that I think might end up being the most powerful is the fire staff. Magic has been, in a lot of games, like not just MMOs, but magic has always been something that has proven to be very powerful. And from what we've seen from the fire staff itself so far, like how you're able to cast meteors and things like that, just completely go crazy on people with the fire staff itself. I think it's probably going to end up being one of the most powerful weapons there. And aside from that, probably the Warhammer from what we've seen so far, but definitely clocking this fire staff is probably one of the most powerful, if not the most. And that's until the great axe comes in, because we got to have our great axes. Can you work on every profession? I think the great axe might be really good for like AoE abilities as well, or at least I'm hoping so. I'd love to see if they give us a whirlwind on the great axe ability. I think we could have a lot of fun with that. Is that Godfall game? Oh, I'm not sure actually. You might be correct. I have no idea though. I have seen that one though too. Can you work on every profession or just some? No, you can max out every single profession you want to. And this was also showcased in the previous developer blog that they did. But let me see if I can find a picture of it for you. Yeah, just like in this picture, how it shows, you can max out every single crafting skill if you wanted to, and gathering and refining. Used to be where you had to specialize, like you got points that you could put into each craft in the previous alpha, but now they're going to be going for a more specialized approach to this one. What happens when you die in game? We don't know just yet, actually, on that count. But you won't lose any gear. It's probably just going to be like, if I had to guess, like durability loss, because we know there's durability system in the game based off the previous pictures that we talked about, like how the weapons themselves can actually have durability increasing perks. So I would imagine just durability loss, probably just that. Is there trade caravans to encourage open world PvP? They haven't mentioned trade caravans, but that is something that has been requested. I think so. In terms of the alpha, I can't tell you if that's been requested in the alpha, like from the alpha side, like on the forums and things like that. But out of game, they've definitely received some feedback on that, like through Reddit and places like that, and Discord. We've seen people talking about it. Do you think if New World is a success, they may consider taking it over to next-gen consoles? You know, actually, yesterday when I was reading some comments, someone did mention to me that it could potentially, today, part of the announcement or the announcement itself could be that they're coming to next-gen consoles with New World. Wait, world exclusive? Oh, okay, that's not us. Not us. I don't know if that's a possibility, but I think it would be very interesting to see that happen, especially if they're able to do crossplay, like with Final Fantasy XIV, how they can crossplay between platforms. That would be a huge boost to the player base for sure. And also, I mean, that would put New World on the map far better than if it was just in PC only. So I'm not sure just yet, but I think it's possible, you know, especially if it's a good success. How would you rate the difficulty? Hold on. I think I missed that question. Oh, wait. Do you think if new... Oh, yeah, I answered that one. How does the multiplayer work? Oh, wait. Oh, the stat multiplier. That one, I can't talk about too much yet in terms of the alpha, but they haven't really given us a lot of detail at a game on how the stat multiplier works. We're going to have to actually wait until we get in game to find that one. In leveling up, and do you only get 1 skill point each time you level up? Yes. So in terms of the weapon skills, like the weapon skill trees that you're going to be using, you will get 1 point per level from what we were able to see. And when you do level up, you'll be able to choose your passives, your skills, your morphs for your skills to upgrade them. But yeah, you'll be able to actually get 1 point per level there. And then also for the attributes, you will also be getting 1 point per level there too, from what we've seen so far. So it'll be 1 point available. And then if for any reason, if they decide in the beta or launch to make it to where like at increments of 5 and 10 it gives us 2 attributes, then they might decide to do something like that, but they haven't said anything like that yet, like they were planning to do that. But in terms of the difficulty to level up, that's going to be up to them. And what's going on in the alpha, of course, that's not going to be finalized, so it could be completely different in the beta itself. So we'll have to see what they do in beta in terms of the difficulty for leveling up. Requirements to create a guild. Yeah, so far, from what we've seen, you only have to... So the governor of the guild, they have to be in a faction to begin with. And then once the person is in the faction, they can go to the company menu. Sorry. They can go to the company menu to start the guild. And then as soon as they make it, whichever faction that person was in, that guild is now tied to. So anytime territory war happens or anything like that, that guild has to fight for that faction if they decide to fight at all. But in terms of like how the actual creation of the guild happens, I believe it's just simple as that. Once you have a faction, you should be able to go ahead and create it. I believe they have a picture of that as well. I'm trying to think which one that was in. Pretty sure that was in like the territory news or close to it. Possibly in here. Yeah, here we go. No, that's the territory upkeep. So that's when you actually have the guild created and you take over a territory, then you'll become a governor of the settlement. Yeah, I don't know if they actually have a picture of the actual company creation menu though. I'm sure there was something that we saw for that, but we'll have to find out in game if there's like any prerequisites like spending gold or anything like that. Will sailing ships be a thing in New World, such as sailing to the other side of the other side of the island and vice versa? We're not 100% on that so far. We don't know if they'll implement naval combat or exploration in the future, but it was mentioned not only in previous articles, but it was also teased, at least with past civilizations. I'll show you the article first. So for naval combat, where was it? Or naval exploration, this was, wait a minute, PC Gamer. Oh yeah, here we go. So when they talked about expansions with PC Gamer, oh yeah, PC Gamer, they did ask if there would be expansions, and they said if that's something that players would want. There's not a direct quote from an employee, so we're not sure exactly who said that, but it was mentioned. So expansions down the line, naval combat maybe, if that's something players would want. So we're not sure exactly what it'll entail so far, but they did recently, just a couple weeks ago, tease a picture of a Viking longship on their Twitter. And, oh wait, no, it's in the base file. There we go, base folder. Perfect. Yeah, so this, when I noticed this, I knew immediately it had to be like a Viking longship. It was much different than like an ancient Roman ship, like a trireme. You know, the placement of the oars on the side, the dragon head especially, because that was something that Vikings used a lot, dragons and snakes, to kind of spark fear in enemy settlements. And also the Norse shields on the side was a dead giveaway. But that might be a hat tip to future expansions having naval exploration. But we'll have to see to know for sure. Soft stat cap is 60, so you won't be able to put more points into strength than than 60 total. So like when you start off with the game, you'll start off with 5 points in strength, for instance, and the other attributes too, and then you get one attribute per level up, and you can only put like 55 in, let's say, and then it soft caps out. If you want to go past that, you have to use jewelry and gem slots, because jewelry can by default, once you make it, have perks that increase your attributes, but also the gems that you put in your gear that have gem slots, they can also increase the attributes too, to go even higher. So we don't know what the total cap is, but once you go past that soft cap of 60, that's when diminishing returns come into play, and it won't increase it as much past that. Happy birthday, Luis. Happy birthday. Great axe and spin attack. Me too. I'm ready for that. Super ready for that. 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks up to max level. On the other hand, how would it work for mastering any of the skill trees? We're not 100% sure on that part yet in terms of how long it'll take to master the skill trees. But from what I saw, that person was at level 60. Let me see if it shows in the actual picture. The person with the skill tree that we saw. Yeah, level 60 on that person's picture, and he was only level 13 in the actual throwing axe. Let me see if I can find a better picture for that one. Yeah, so level 13 out of 20 for the throwing axe, but he was level 60 at the side there. Now, since you can max out all weapons, he might have, spent the entire duration, leveling up sword and shield, for instance. But I would be willing to bet that for the skill trees, it might take you maybe a couple of days per weapon if you're just using that weapon and nothing else. But we'll have to see to know for sure once we actually get in game. Is there a global auction? There was in the previous alpha called the Trading Post, and we've seen hints of it in the current version, but they haven't come out and say. Actually, did they mention that in one of the previous blogs? I'm trying to think on that one, because yeah, I don't believe they actually came out and said there's a trading post in this one, but we have seen the actual tax system in the settlement blog, and one of the icons for taxes appears to be trading related. So I think that yeah, there will end up being a trading blog at some point, or a trading auction house at some point. Player-to-player trading, though, they haven't said anything about on that one. Yeah, I don't think they said it in the blogs. Yeah, so we'll have to find out to know for sure. Post now. Auction, trading. No. Yeah, we'll have to find out, but maybe they might even announce it today. Who knows? Would gauntlets require intelligence as well? Now, that's a good question. Actually, if they work the same way they did in the previous alpha, where they're still based off healing, or maybe if they are attack magic weapons now, then I would imagine that they'll be based off intelligence. Hold up. Is that ours? Nope, not ours. All right. Thank you guys so much for the new people joining the stream. We're just waiting on the New World segment to begin. I believe that's Total War Troy. You know what? Ironically, I just have to kind of go off on a tangent. I actually did finish watching Troy this morning before I started. And oh god, that was an amazing movie. I might actually play Total War Troy. It sucks that we can't get a Steam release like right away though. It sucks that we gotta wait. But, ah well. They're still giving it away though, so we'll see. But, did you play staff on alpha? I maxed out all the weapons and I did max out my character, but I can't talk about how the staff was. I can't tell how it feels, but I did play it though. Yes. Will the weapons be balanced around solo play or group play? So in terms of that, they haven't directly mentioned that yet, that aspect, but there will be weapons from what I was seeing from the footage that will be very helpful in group play, like the fire staffs. We've seen that they can cast abilities like meteor showers, for instance. That's something that you would really want in a open world PvP scenario with a lot of people, or just in a territory war. And then you have weapons like throwing axe, which are more single target based, which will be better for like solo players, 1v1s, and small skirmishes. And same thing with like sword and shield. That could be good for both. But we'll have to find out more to know for sure on that one. How many players do you see on a server? The map itself, from what they've said, is about 40 kilometers squared. So it's going to be a little bit more than the size of Skyrim. Size of Skyrim. And in terms of a server itself, they've said between 1 and 2,000 is what they're aiming for. But it could vary. And I'm not sure if it'll fit everybody on one. You know, one thing that I kind of predicted and am kind of worried about is mob and resource density, because when you're dealing with these kinds of MMOs or like sandbox like MMOs, one thing that might happen is if there's a lot of players in the starting zones, they might start killing all the mobs and gathering all the resources pretty fast, especially if there's like a resource timer, like a respawn timer on the resources. I think that could potentially happen where we might have some mob and resource density issues, but we'll have to get in game to know for sure. And they might have already expanded the map far beyond what we're expecting too. But yeah, that's what they're going for, 1 to 2,000 players, which also, with all the content creators and streamers that are going to be bringing their communities in, most likely those servers are going to be flooded. I'm expecting it to be a pretty rocky start, and I think the servers might end up getting blown up once or twice throughout the day, because yeah, it's going to be pretty chaotic for sure. Will tanks play an important role in PvP battle? So yeah, they'll definitely play an important role. We've seen footage and instances where people would be using sword and shield. Apparently there's buffs that you can actually put on your character while using a sword and shield that will allow you to take reduced damage, or you know, even be able to taunt enemies in PvE at least. But for PvP, they'll still have their uses. Absolutely. You always need a tank. Do you have your own group that you're set to play with? I don't have my own, so I do play with the guild called Envious. I've been playing with them in the previous games that we played with, and I would actually like to play with them some more when the game actually comes into beta and release. But for my main character, what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to have him set as a neutral bystander, so I'll probably have my main character as a part of the Marauder faction, but without any guild. The reason for that is because whenever someone comes in and asks me for like what guilds are good to join and stuff like that, I can give them references and make sure that instead of, you know, just funneling everybody into one guild or just like a few kind of thing, we funnel them into everybody, if that's what happens. So and plus, since we're all able to play together anyway, because of the faction system, then there's really you don't have to be in a guild kind of thing, from what we've seen so far. So I'm gonna probably go Marauders on my character though. Oh, wait, hold on. Is New World the only game you're playing right now? Yes. And in terms of what somebody asked earlier, in terms of if the game was addictive or not, New World, the past 2 weeks, it's all I've been playing when I'm not working on videos or working from home. And it's managed to keep me somehow addicted for that amount of time. I think that when we first get into the game, everybody's going to have their different preferences for sure. But for me specifically, yeah, it's the only one I'm playing right now. I sometimes I'd even try to play Bannerlord for like a couple hours, and then I just start thinking about New World more and more, and I hop right back in. but everybody's going to have their different preferences for sure. But I think that it's, for me specifically, I'll definitely be able to enjoy it for a long time. What are your thoughts on guilds, such as crafting guilds or PvP guilds? I think having crafting, commerce guilds, PvP-based ones, well, the crafting and commerce ones, I think that they will succeed a lot more than the PvP guilds right now, because there's more for them. There's more for them to make use of for the crafting and economic side. But for PvP guilds, I think that there's definitely more that needs to be added before I can comfortably say that they will have a 100% good time in the game at all times. Because right now, the only PvP content we really have is going to be, hold up, opt-in PvP.
Hope is what makes us human. Hope also let us think.
That's not us. Oh, perfect world. Okay. Okay, yeah, so opt-in PvP and territory wars. And the territory wars won't be going on all days, all day long, but the opt-in PvP will. But if people don't want to opt in, then those PvP guilds, they'll probably be waiting around a little while to get some action. So I think something they can do is kind of make it more similar to like ESO Cyrodiil PvP, where they have open world points of interest and forts on the map, that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm not sure if the current combat system and current PvP system will be enough to hold people over. But yeah, I think the crafting guilds will definitely have some success for sure. Have you maxed the crafting or gathering skill? I can't talk about the experience itself, but no, I don't even know if I can say that. Yeah, I have done crafting and gathering though. I have done a lot of it, but I can't say much more than that. But thank you so much for that, by the way, Kevin. I appreciate it. Is New World the... Oh yeah, absolutely. Can you speak about the skill ceilings in PvP? The combat looks a little slow, and I'm sure if this game is geared more towards PvE because of that. Curious. Okay. So for the actual skill ceiling, that will come into play, where the actual positioning of your character, the skill of your character, is going to matter a lot more than just the gear that you're wearing. But yeah, the combat itself, it's going to be much more relatable to like Dark Souls as opposed to like Black Desert in terms of its pace. It's going to be slower, so it's going to be more strategic in terms of if you're going toe to toe with somebody, you're going to have to make sure to use your dodges and your skills to the best of your ability. In terms of like how competitive it'll be, and in terms of how far you'll be able to go in terms of the skill ceiling, compared to other games, it might be a little bit less because we only get access to 3 skills, and even though we can switch between them, it'll be a little bit different than if you're playing a game that has like 30 skills at your disposal, all with different passives and buffs that you're triggering on and off and things like that. So yeah, I would expect early on that the skill ceiling might be a little bit lower, but still be there, if that makes sense. It'll be like a Dark Souls experience where good players will definitely shine, but casual players will also be able to shine to a degree. Will there be servers such as NA and EU? Yeah, so far they've said that the current ones that we have confirmed are for NA and EU. We don't know if there will be other ones, but let me see if I can actually find that article for you for the servers. Weapons, starter classes, roadmaps, console. Oh yeah, that was when they mentioned consoles. I don't know if I have it here. But they did mention, oh yeah, this was the article where they mentioned that they'd want to stay below 3,000. But if they went above the 1 and 2,000 marker, then it would still be below 3,000, and they would like fluctuate, kind of thing between that. And if they wanted to increase it later on, like they did want to in pre-alpha, they might do that. But I'm expecting them to start off with at least 1 to 2,000. I'll have to find it later actually, because they did mention it, but I don't remember where I put it in terms of the server size. Let me check one other thing actually. Respawn first, software dev, 12 months of content, David Verifielli. It was actually inside that French-based article too, and I'm pretty sure I must have named it something else. because it should be inside this specific folder here, but I just don't see it at a first glance. But yeah, they said US and EU, but they might have some more before beta or launch. We'll have to see though. Interested in watching a live stream? I know it is actually amazing, and I want to thank you guys for joining us as well. We really appreciate you coming. We're still waiting on the New World segment to begin, but I'm really excited to find out what the announcement is today. Hopefully it's beta, and maybe we might get some, you know, exclusive PvP footage or something like that, but we'll have to see. We'll definitely have to see. What are the social interactions? Like, can you form families? No. So in terms of like forming a family, they haven't said anything like that, and so far we haven't seen any evidence that supports that. Social interaction wise, the guilds and companies, that's of course a possibility, but past that, we don't really know if there's going to be anything like a family system or anything like that. But I don't think they will have anything like that though. But they did say that in the future, and this one I should be able to find, that they were going to implement. Yeah, here we go. They were going to implement more interaction-based emotions, like pushing things, being able to walk or stroll, customizing houses, or even dyeing clothes, like sitting in chairs, touching objects, things like that. So like for role players, they will be doing a little bit of something for players like that. But in terms of families and things like that, they haven't said anything like that yet. How much PvP have I done? In the 1,000 hours, or close to 1,000 hours I played, I've showed up for every single war that I could. I can't say much more than that, but probably about 150. And that's also factoring, no, less than that actually. Probably 100. And that's factoring in the opt-in PvP as well. About 100. Will there be just one mega server or multiple ones to play on? Multiple, from what we've seen so far. They haven't confirmed that there would be mega servers yet, but they said that between 1,000 and 2,000 players per server is what they're aiming to go for. So by that fact, I'm betting there's going to be multiples, because there's going to be a lot of people trying this game out for the first time when we first get into beta. So yeah, it's probably going to be a crap ton for sure. Beta will likely be July 25th. I'm kind of interested to find out when it will be. I feel like mid-July to late July might end up being when it kind of happens, but they might even come out with a surprise today and say July 1st is beta. That would be really cool if they did that too. Does the marketplace take a percentage from everything you sell? If it works like the previous alpha, or actually, from what we've seen so far, there appears to be a trading tax. So yes, there will be a percentage taken, but it shouldn't be like a huge amount. But that actually would go to the faction that owns the territory. It wouldn't just go into the wind. Because like some games you'd play, it'd be where like you were taxed on every little thing you put on the broker, and that money would just, you know, go nowhere. But in this specific instance, it's actually serving a purpose. And that's if they made it in a way that supports the evidence we've seen so far of what appears to be a trading tax, but we'll have to find out to know for sure. What do you think about magic in New World? I think the magic system could definitely be expanded on. I like what I'm seeing from the fire staff and life staff so far, or was supposedly life staff, but I think that if they wanted to really introduce magic in a big way in this game, because it's a relatively new system, those staffs, the gauntlets we had in the previous alpha, we used those, but the staffs are pretty new. I think they need to go with lightning magic, ice magic, you know, death magic. There's going to be some people that love necromancers. I think with this combat system, they could have some really good combat experiences if they expanded on the magic too. And also like dual wielding. I think that would be a great thing to have in the game. And they've even said that they plan to, you know, always expand on the combat system, keep working on it, and bring in new weapons in the future. This was done in the David Verfaeli interview, actually, with the French-based article. And yeah, they did mention that they're planning on releasing more weapons. New weapons, yep. So I definitely think they could take the game pretty far if they had even more than we have right now. Will they have swimming or possible underwater caves? They haven't said anything like that, but I would imagine in the future they might go down the naval exploration route from what we've seen so far. But no, they haven't said anything like swimming or underwater caves. Would be cool to see that, though. Thank you so much, Bor. I appreciate it. Oh, hold on. It skipped ahead. Can you get me an alpha key? I don't have an extra. I'm sorry. Did the New World announcement happen yet? No, it did not. We're still waiting on it right now. Also, once it does happen, I'm going to be recording it on my other computer. And then once it does happen, we're going to go back to it, like rewind, and then do a play-by-play on everything we just saw. How many characters can you have? They've said in the interviews that you're only going to be able to have one character. I can't talk about the alpha experience just yet, but yeah, they've said that you're only going to be able to have one character, and that's also going to be to prevent switching sides in faction wars and stuff like that, spying and espionage. Of course, there's going to be players that are buying multiple accounts and playing on multiple characters, but apparently they're trying to alleviate that as much as possible, so just one character. Does this game now cater to small clan building? Free building, apparently they've moved away from that, from what we've seen. And in terms of like building your house from scratch and stuff like that, you're not going to be able to do that. The houses are pre-built, but the furniture that you place inside them and how you decorate them, that's going to be up to you to decide. Oh, the sound is muffled when I'm too close? Oh, let me back up. Sorry about that. But yeah, right now with small clans, I don't think you'll have a lot that you can do in terms of the free building. But I think that in terms of territory wars, you'll still be able to participate in those. And if your clan only has like 30 people or so, then yeah, you could definitely get to the point of owning a town, but not free building though. Those are all pre-built. Is there a summon type skill in the game like Necromancer? Nope, Necromancer and Death Magic hasn't been mentioned or shown at all yet, but that's something that's requested. Would be nice to see something like that. Also, sorry about that, Alex. Alex, thanks so much for pointing that out. Are the harvesting nodes instance per player or first come, first serve? We haven't seen the actual resource gathering at play long enough to know for sure, but it appears to be first come, first serve, and then it has a well, if it works like the previous alpha, then it's probably going to have like a timer to it, kind of thing. But we haven't really done an in-depth look or seen a lot of footage of how the resources are going to act when we're actively gathering them. So we'll have to see to know for sure. But I don't think it's instance because they've said that they want to go open world with the majority of the game. So I think that it'll be like a first come, first serve, and then it has a respawn timer. The graphics pretty high. Yeah, graphics are going to be pretty... The graphics are going to be fairly high. I think the optimization might be pretty good based off of, their server-wise, we should get pretty good ping. But my experience with the alpha, I can't say exactly what the experience is, but my computer does okay in there. Is there any farming aspects? Nope. Not that we've seen so far, but having an in-game garden or something of that nature would be really nice. That's not us. I would love to see something like that, but they haven't mentioned anything like that yet. In terms of like planting trees and stuff like that, the island itself is magical in nature, so it's going to be able to regenerate all the resources on its own. So in terms of planting trees and stuff, I don't think we'll be able to do that. But in terms of an housing garden, we might do that at some point. We might get that at some point. Will you put it full screen when New World comes? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Completely random. I just filled a folder with pictures of eels. Should I be worried for my mental health? I'm sure you'll be okay, Bob. That's okay. Eels can be cool too. Does this game have some similarities with Black Desert Online? Black Desert is probably going to be... It's probably going to be similar in a few ways. I'd say this game is probably going to be more similar to Elder Scrolls Online than Black Desert. The housing system is pretty much, almost dead on. It's very similar to Black Desert. But in terms of like the progression and, the actual PvP content and stuff like that, I think it'll be pretty different from Black Desert compared to like ESO or another game, for instance.
But I think if you're a Black Desert player, that you could probably come into this and hold on. Is this us? Okay. Yeah, if you're a BDO player and you're used to that massive grind and, you know, the progression and whatnot, I think that you'll probably have a good time in a game like this, because you'll already be more accustomed to grinding for a long time to progress, and then you won't mind it as much if it takes a while to do. And in this game, you're going to see guaranteed progression, so you won't have to really worry about the RNG as much. Will there be any weapon attachments? Not that we've seen so far, but when you craft the item, you can get perks that you can embed into the item itself. So for a musket, you might be able to get like extra damage or like extra critical damage, stuff like that. But in terms of an actual attachment, that's something we haven't seen yet, other than the gems. You can actually put a gem inside of a gem slot if you get a weapon that has one. And what that does is it will allow you to increase your attributes past your soft cap. So yeah, you'll see perks like this, and these are the gem slots I talked about that will increase our attributes. And the actual perks themselves, you'll get ones that can even give you an elemental damage effect like fire, which I'm really excited to see, by the way. I don't even have that many hours in, in Wardhouse. Yeah, I've spent a lot of time testing out the game for sure. It's going to be interesting once we get into beta. My honest opinion about it, I think, based off everything that's happened so far and people's expectations of the game, that it's going to have a rough start. I think that review-wise, I'm honestly expecting mixed. The very, 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 very most optimistic that I can think of, positive, and that's going to be for a lot of reasons, including you know, people that are not happy with the changes in terms of PvP, but it won't matter what happens right away. I think this game has a lot of potential to actually expand. Is that us? That's not us, right?
Peering across time and space, yearning for a glimpse of the unknown.
Is that us?
PC Gaming Show. You seem different.
The consecrated fires revealed cinders and shadows.
Oh, that's not us. It's probably not us.
Beneath it all, no monsters.
Oh, okay. Just checking. Okay. Anyway, let me turn the music back on. Sorry. I was like, wait a second. Oh yeah, but yeah, I think that it's not going to matter what happens right away in the game's beta and launch. It's all going to be about what they do when the game is like 6 months old, a year old. That's gonna determine like not just the player population too, because of course that's always an important thing, but their ability to implement content, to address the players' concerns, the marketing, all that. I think that's all going to matter. And at that point, like after that 6 to 8 to 12 month marker, that's when we can start, you know, talking about like if it's going to be considered one of the greats, or if it has the potential to be considered one of the greats as well. But I definitely think there's a lot of potential for it. I really do. Will there be a vault system where you can trade stuff from one character to another? Not that we've seen so far, but there will be storages that you can actually access inside the settlements. And they've actually mentioned this in the previous blog, where if you have somebody who focuses on the furnishing craft skill, they can actually make storage items you can place in your house that will actually increase your base storage. So that will be a thing. But in terms of trading it from one character to another, we don't know if it will allow you to do that yet. There are a lot of other YouTubers that have been negative towards New World. What are your thoughts on all the negativity? I totally understand it, because honestly, I've been on both sides of the spectrum. I've been on the side that is, you know, just completely and utterly super excited about the game, and like, you can't tell me nothing. I'm going full into this game, and I feel like it's just the greatest thing in the world. And then on the other side, I've just been completely pessimistic, or just, you know, cautious about a specific game, and then it turned out to be either good or bad. And over the years, with how the MMO genre has treated us as players, with these, you know, microtransactions, these predatory practices, all this progression system that we see in these Eastern games, I totally get why people would be, you know, quick to jump on calling something out or remaining more cautious or remaining more negative towards something. I understand it. So that's why I wouldn't ever try to like change someone's opinion, because I can totally understand where they're coming from. Because I wouldn't know their situation right away. I don't know how many MMOs they played. You know, maybe they just came from nothing but Eastern MMOs and they're tired of the first sight of like having a progression system that remotely suggests that it's going to be taking longer than usual kind of thing. So I think it's fine. I think it's definitely fine. It's all going to come down to what the game actually delivers is going to matter in the end. And if it delivers a good game, or if in the future, if they make it into a good game, those players might be more inclined to come back. Those YouTubers might be more inclined to come back. Am I going to stream New World? Yes, I am. Absolutely. Do you do company shout outs? Can you give a shout out to your company? Last Legion of Cortez. I love the sound of that. That sounds awesome. I mean, I can't do like a real shout out because it's just going to sound weird with my voice, but I do like the name of that company. I hope you guys go far in the game, Lewis. Absolutely. Is there an honor system? Is an honor system or something similar for PvP planned? From what they've said so far, no. They haven't said anything about an honor system, but it's been suggested. I've also suggested that sort of thing. I think that there is something to be said about having PvP gear or having a currency or a progression system that is also tied to PvP itself. I think that can actually be an important thing to have in your game too, or it can be a good thing at the very least. I think that players that go for that kind of thing, that specialize in PvP, having the ability to get rewarded through PvP gear or being able to buy certain things with PvP points that they earn, I think that those players would enjoy the game a lot more having it than not having it. And I think a game like this would do really well with an honor system, with PvP gear that looks different than the PvE gear, and stuff like that. I think it could actually work really well. We've also seen in screenshots how they actually have a leaderboard system that they're going to be planning to put in. Actually, if I can find it, let me see. Because if you look inside the faction blog, the faction developer blog, where was that? 7.2? Yeah. Oh, let me get the real one. Right here. The season leaderboards right there. And when I first covered that, I talked about Ascent Infinite Realm, because in Ascent Infinite Realm's Thailand beta, they actually had a system where you had leaderboards like for player versus environment, player versus player, and the people that were in the like top 30 or top 50, they would get rewards based on where they ranked. I think something like that would be really cool, not just for PvP, but you can have stuff like that for PvE as well, and even gathering and crafting. And even though like for PvP, there's ways to, you know, what's it called? Cheat the system sort of thing, like people win trading and stuff like that. I think the benefits outweigh the cons. I think the benefit, like eventually people will, you know, be able to tell if someone's just like win trading and stuff like that, as opposed to like people that are actually going out there and fighting nonstop and getting rewarded for it. I think in the long run, it might have more benefits than cons to it. Will player housing be its own separate instance? Yes. So with the player houses, you have to teleport into them, whether you want to decorate them or visit them to check them out before you buy them, or visit a friend's house. That's all instance. That's separate from the actual new world itself. So there won't be like a land rush, like in ArcAge, for instance. You won't have to worry about waking up at 2 in the morning to make sure you're in game right when the game launches, to make sure you get a housing spot. You won't have to worry about that. It's going to be instance instead. Can you tame animals and pets? They haven't said anything about taming yet, but that is a requested feature from what I've seen so far. And like we were talking about with the mounts earlier, I don't know if they would go that route right away, like before they did naval exploration and naval combat, if they were going to go that route. But if they did do mounts and players wanted it, like maybe after they expanded the map, I'd love to see like a taming system and stuff like that to get the mounts. Like one thing I did like about BDO system, like despite all the problems I did have with it, was that horse system, like being able to actually breed those mounts, get different perks on them, like going from like tier 6 to tier 7 horses, the amount of time it took to actually get those horses too, and the skills that you can use for them. it felt really good. I would love to see a system like that if they actually did go down that route at some point. But that would all depend, because there's a lot of players that don't like the idea of mounts. That's why I want to remain neutral to it right now, because I didn't understand until I got to this game like how many people actually didn't like mounts too. Because if you're playing a game and you're trying to explore around, having a mount could significantly cut down the travel time, and as a result you might end up missing some, you know, really good points of interest, or just the beauty of the world itself. For me personally, it's only beautiful so many times, but I totally get where people are coming from when they say that. Combination of Ultima Online, Final Fantasy XIV, and mobile games like Rise of Kingdoms. I never played Rise of Kingdoms. For Final Fantasy XIV, I don't think they're going that route, because for Final Fantasy XIV, that's a game that is built around the storyline. You know, going from Heaven's Ward to Stormblood to Shadowbringers. Even though I didn't play Shadowbringers, I watched the playthroughs and stuff like that people did. But that's a really story-driven game, and even if I wanted to compare like the arenas that are in this game to the primal fights in Final Fantasy XIV, they really are on two different levels. Like that's one thing I can compare it to a degree, but in reality, Final Fantasy XIV primals are just something else entirely. Like the amount of mechanics they have, the music that plays when you're in a primal fight, the story behind each one of them, it just goes so much farther. So I would say this one might be more similar to like a mixture of like Elder Scrolls Online to a degree, without the Cyrodiil PvP, but like we're in the Cyrodiil PvP or I should say like we're in a 24/7 Cyrodiil campaign is what it kind of reminds me of, without the fortresses and stuff like that. Like we're actually living in a territory war map, essentially. Also, no problem. Will we be able to? And yeah, for Ultima, I think it does have some similarities to that too. But for Final Fantasy XIV, I think it strays more away from that, and more away from any of those, and goes more towards ESO. Will you be able to dual wield two-handed weapons? They haven't said anything like that yet, but I would love for that to happen. That's something that is requested as well, just dual wielding in general. But dual wielding two-handed weapons, I don't think we'll be able to do that right off the bat. What if eventually in the game we will be able to control a portion of corrupted power in the form of a new weapon? I could see that being pretty cool. Or Guild Wars 2. That's one too. Absolutely. I could see that being pretty cool. I think at one point I was thinking about if we could play as the corrupted in a specific mode, like a piece of content like how Lord of the Rings Online did it with their monster mode, like where you could play as the orcs. And that could be a form of open world PvP if they made like a separate map where it was just you as the corrupted, and then players could actually fight you. I'm not sure how well that would work, but I think I've seen people talk about that before. That might be pretty interesting. Can we start crafting fire life staff straight away? There might be a prerequisite for it. We haven't seen the crafting skill tree for Arcana, but I would imagine you're probably going to have to level it up a little bit, but you'll be able to like maybe craft potions and stuff like that to get to that point. Is Albion and New World similar? I would say that to a degree. Like it doesn't have the open world full loop PvP. I'd say really thinking about Albion, the only ways it'd be similar really is like the way you progress through crafting to an extent. Like the benches, like having to go to a town in Albion and pay the tax to start crafting a certain amount of items based on your tier. Something like that. I would say like crafting system wise it'd be similar. Not skill wise, because I know like in Albion you could get different skills based off of like what helmet you were wearing, what chest piece you were wearing, what weapon you had, stuff like that. Not really like that either. I'd say more similar to ESO. Old school RuneScape, I think it's kind of in the same boat. Used to be similar to old school RuneScape in the previous alpha, like the wilderness system, but it had open world PvP, but there was punishments for trying to attack somebody. But now I would say it's probably less similar to old school, less similar for sure. There's a bit of audio delay. Oh yeah, that's a default delay on YouTube gaming side. It's about like 20 seconds to 30 seconds or so. But I'm gonna try to answer as fast as I can though, just to make sure it kind of alleviates for it. But yeah, it is a little bit delayed. Unless you mean like the music and my voice though. If that's happening, I'll definitely have to fix that. Is the trading and communication limited to just your own faction? They haven't said anything about player-to-player trading. We don't know if that's going to be possible, but as far as we know, all factions, from what they've said, all factions will be able to live under the same roof and under the same territory. So it's probably not going to be locked between faction. You'll be able to trade with everybody if there is one. Also, hold on. Drink water again. Stay hydrated. Oh, that looks like We Happy Few. Okay. Is the woman with red eyes, is she a faction in the game? If so, I will join her hands down. Oh, so you're talking about Isabella. I would honestly hope so. But no, she's actually a character in the game. By the way, this isn't an official picture. This is something that I commissioned an artist to draw up. She did an amazing job as well. I love this picture so much. And this is also a part of my starting screen too. But she's actually a character that we've seen with no confirmation so far of actually being in the game. We don't even know if she's actually in the game, but she's portrayed in the Game Awards trailer as like a sort of high-ranking officer or a leader of the corrupted, like just the way that she's shown, where she's just looking at the island instead of being like a mindless beast like we would see from earlier in that trailer when those corrupted men and women are charging at the gates or at that fortress on the hill. She's just standing there menacingly and just looking. So I definitely think they've got something in store for us for her. Also, the necklace that we get from the pre-order bonus just happens to be named Isabella's Amulet. So I would imagine that they might actually implement her character or something for her in the future. I would love to see her actually pop up when the game releases. Does it actually show this in here? Hold on. Where is it? Oh yeah, it's in here somewhere. I think I just saw it. It said fist bump and then yeah, Isabella's Amulet. So yeah, we would be able to get that one and it would give us additional constitution to weather attacks and deal additional damage against certain types of enemies. This one is probably just one you'll probably just use early on though. I don't think we'll be using that towards end game, but we'll see. Will you keep any of your progress from alpha to beta? No, that's going to be wiped, as well as beta to launch. All that's going to be wiped. We won't keep any progress from those. Are you going to stream New World? Absolutely. I do have plans for that. I have a big list of content, of like videos planned for New World. Right now, in my notes, I probably have about 50 to 60 different video ideas already planned and ready to go. I've been researching, I've been looking at a lot of other content creators that have created content for past games and like what they did that really worked, what people liked, what people don't like. And I want to bring that to New World. So I've got a lot planned. But yeah, like at least maybe once or twice a week, I do have plans to stream New World as well. Absolutely. New World is the first MMO that I'm going to fully dive into. Do you have any advice? Yeah, I would say come into the game with, you know, if it's going to be the first one, I would say it'd be okay to seek help. Like if you feel like you have a question or you're lost at some point, you know, if you want to reach out to people in global chat or anything like that, there's going to be people there to help you. I'd say come in with, you know, a balanced mindset. If it's your first MMO, you might not, if you're playing the game like for the first time, it might seem like a very unique experience, and it might I don't know how to really say it, because I'm trying to think about like when I first played when I played was RuneScape, and like I remember thinking like this is the greatest thing in the world, but I think at certain points you might really like dislike something that is happening in the game, or might have an issue with one thing or another, like where you get really invested and the first issue that pops up that you don't like, it might really affect you in a way that might affect someone differently if they played a lot of games. But I would say, you know, something like that, I would just come in with a more more chill mindset. Like you don't have to really worry if you get stuck somewhere, or if you don't like something, you know, provide feedback, and people will relay that feedback. And you know, if you get stuck, just ask questions. We'll all be here to help you with stuff like that. I think that's really the only advice I can really give. And just like take it slow, just take it all in. You know, don't rush in terms of leveling or crafting or gathering or anything like that. Just take your time in it, because the first one's always the best experience. Well, actually, I should rephrase that. First one's always the most memorable. One of the most memorables, at least for me. At least for me. I can't say much for people that may have started with a pretty bad MMO. What in-game content do we know is coming currently? So far, we know of a couple. So we know that the instance PvP territory wars is going to be a thing. That's 50v50. That happens after a guild declares on territory, and to declare on territory, you actually have to do PvP missions and get the influence bar to fill all the way up. This would probably make more sense if I show you. Hold on. Cool. So the influence bar starts here at the left side. Let's say Marauders, they want to declare war on Syndicate. Marauders has to go to Syndicate's territory and start doing PvP missions, which flag them by default. Once they get the influence bar all the way, it'll be put into conflict. And then to declare war, they have to spend a certain amount of gold. And then during a certain amount of time, other companies can also declare. And then one company becomes the vanguard, which will lead the faction against that settlement. And that's something that could potentially be problematic if random guilds are able to take the vanguard from you. But they do have feedback on that. We've provided a lot of suggestions on that. But yeah, that's how it works currently. And then we have the invasions, which is the similar to territory wars actually, but the players are all on the defending side, and waves of corrupted are coming in at us. You have like, you know, huge monsters like the Spriggan, the corrupted Spriggan, the ogre that we saw, all these kinds of different creatures that are just coming in all at once at us, like this on a much bigger scale. And they're all surrounding our fortresses, and we got to do whatever it takes to fight them back. And we get access to siege weapons like ballistas, cannons, fire pots, things like that to beat them back as well. And then we have the PvP missions, which I mentioned just a second ago. That's going to be for your faction that auto flags you, and you get rewards like experience, maybe gold, some faction currency, stuff like that from what we've seen so far. And there's a PvE variant of it for environmental missions. And then we'll also have the opt-in open world PvP, which will be basically if someone wants to flag up, they have to do it in a settlement. Then they can actually go outside and fight other people that are flagged up too. But we're hoping that we'll get some more PvP content in the future, like maybe points of interest or fortresses we can fight over on the open world map. And other than that, we've also got the instanced arenas, the PvE arenas, which where basically we get a Spriggan key from farming on mobs in a specific area, and then it gives us coordinates. The key itself has coordinates on it that we go to, and we can teleport inside the arena to fight the Spriggan, which we found out about not too long ago. This bad boy right here. And then fighting the Spriggan will allow us to get rewards like legendary gear. We can get all kinds of different rewards, and we have to bring a diverse group of people. So we have to bring healers or a healer. We got to bring a tank probably, and probably just fill the rest of the roster with DPS and fight them as hard as we possibly can. Other than that, we've also got the Corrupted Breaches, which is very similar to like a Dolmen in Elder Scrolls Online or a Rift in the game Rift, I guess. Dynamic event, the Corrupted Breaches spawn on the map periodically, and they're also tied into the invasions as well. The way it's supposed to work is that when the invasion cycle begins, because the invasions happen every 4 days, the Corrupted Breaches will start becoming more frequent and start spawning around the map, and we have to beat those back too, because if there's too many breaches left up by the time the invasion actually begins, then the invasion will become that much harder as a result. If I can find a picture of it, pretty sure it's in here. Yeah, so these are like the Corrupted Breaches right here that we've seen so far. And then once we actually take out the monsters that are at the Corrupted Breach, we have to seal the breach using an Azoth staff, which reminded me a lot of Dragon Age Inquisition, by the way, like sealing a rift. I love that animation right there. And there's different types of Corrupted Breaches as well. Other than that, though, that's pretty much the majority of the content for in-game that we know of so far, along with field bosses. That has been mentioned too. Did you play Doofus? A long time ago, I played Doofus. It's crazy. I'm crazy that I still remember that, actually. But yeah, I did play Doofus. Mount system was also based on breeding and raising your mounts. It had quite some depth. Yeah, I think if they did go with the mount system in the future, and if players wanted it, that adding some complexity like that to the mount system would make it more worthwhile, because then you won't see everybody, I mean, people will definitely use the system for mounts, but it'll be the people that really, really want to use it. And hopefully it wouldn't affect everybody else's gameplay if they did go that route as well. What can you tell us about the in-game music in New World? Actually, I believe they had a tweet. Somebody tweeted at them and asked them who was composing the music for New World, and I don't know if they answered them, actually. I can't really say anything about the alpha music right now, but I'm pretty sure we'll find out once we get into beta, at least. Hopefully. Did you play Aeon when it first released under NCSoft, when it was a good MMO? Actually, I'm not even sure when I played Aeon, because I played Aeon right after I finished playing Terra. And I remember playing Terra at least in like 2014. Okay, the last thing I remember about Terra, because I loved the heck out of Terra back in the day, it was awesome. They just put in the gunner class in Terra, the female gunner. That's around the time I quit, because then I started doing Corsair Stronghold, and I was getting so frustrated because on my Berserker or any of my characters, every time I got near a gate, you just get blasted to smithereens by these gunners that could actually use their telegraph skills through the wall. It was so dumb, but around that point, that's when I quit. And then right after that, then I started playing Aeon. If you lose in Corrupted fight, you should join the Corrupted and fight the remaining players, like in the duration of the invasion. That would be pretty interesting, but I know if they did it like that too, that players would probably lose pretty quick, because I know that, like, us playing as the Corrupted, we're going to be so much smarter than just a regular NPC for sure. But I think if you got the NPCs coming at the players and then us at the same time, and them not knowing who's who, that will probably just swarm the players and kill them all. That would be cool, though. Also, thank you so much, Diplomat. I appreciate it. Will furnishers be able to craft working stations for other crafters? As far as we saw, I don't think so. Furnishers will be able to craft, like, headboards and table lamps, wall lamps, stuff like that. But in terms of the other crafting benches, that's probably going to be tied to the settlement, because they did mention that the town projects that we can do, that's what we're going to be doing to upgrade the benches over time. So for a furnisher, you'll be crafting things like this. Yeah, like the large beds, bookcases, chairs, things like that. There might be more past this, since this bar doesn't look to be all the way down. But this is pretty much like a good look at what you'll be crafting most of the time. Also, I'm hoping they do give us some more furnishing items to work with. I'd love to craft a fireplace, maybe an outdoor fishing pond or vegetable garden, something like that would be really sweet. Silva, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Hope you're having a good day as well. Just bought the game on Steam. Yeah, you'll have access to the beta as long as you pre-order it on Steam. That's all you need. So yeah, you're gonna have access to the beta when it comes out. That picture proves you're flirting with the enemy. What can I say? I'm a sucker for Isabella too. I can't help it. Yeah, she's pretty sweet. Like, I really hope they capitalize on this character, because she's very interesting. She's mysterious. Honestly, if she was introduced later on as like a leader of the Corrupted and actually someone in game that we fought against and maybe showed up in invasions, that'd be sick. I'd love to see that. I would really love to see that. Isabella's ship. Wait, what? Oh, Isabella. I gotcha. That's right. That's my girl right there. How should I pre-order? Through Amazon or Steam? Either way is fine, but I believe if you pre-order through Amazon, then you won't have to pay until the beta begins, but it might be better to pre-order through Steam. That's my personal preference too, just to make sure that you're able to download as soon as possible and everything like that. What's up, Zachary? Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate that. How should I pre-order? Oh yeah, through Steam. I'm caught up. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. World exclusive. Hold on. Is this us? Oh my god. Oh, I know him. Oh, wait a second. The Dryad Beast. Oh, baby. Okay. That's the Angry Earth Beast right there. Oh, hell yeah. Wait, I'm looking for weapons. We've seen the Flaming Sword guy. We've seen him. Oh, this is new. This is new. Oh, baby. Going so fast. I didn't see Great Axe. I didn't see Great Axe. Territory Wars. Holy crap. I'm so pumped about those siege engines. Friggin' arena. This is the arena right here. Invasions. Bring on the oak. What the hell? Oh! Oh my god. Okay, I can't talk about what that is. I know what that is. I know what that was.
Here on the PC Gaming Show,
but I can't talk about it.
Fans of Life is Strange, the award-winning adventure series from developer Donut.
Wait a minute, where did they announce it?
Having undergone some big changes since its first reveal in 2018,
Oh,
Twin Mirror, the
wait.
studio's next game, is a psychological thriller that follows investigative journalist Sam,
Is that it?
who returns to his hometown in
Wait a
West
second.
Virginia. Available to wishlist now on the Epic
I'm
Games
looking
Store.
at Twitter.
Let's watch.
Where did they announce the beta? Closed beta, you said July 23rd? We got to go back and rewind that for sure. Flamethrower, yeah, I caught the flamethrower. Hold on.
Peaceful tops that list.
Hold on a second. Where did they announce the beta in the intro? Hold on. Okay, let me see if we can scroll back really quick here. Go back about 2 minutes. Yeah, here we go. All right, take it from the top. Okay, so we did get some New World footage. We got some new footage there. I want to see if we get any new weapons as well, because I want to see at least the Great Axe being showcased. July 23rd. Now they do have an exclusive PvP footage. Yeah, they have exclusive PvP footage that's going to be going on the IGN event on Monday. But oh man, let me see. Okay, this is the third developer diary. We've seen this before. That was Sword and Shield. We saw that before. These are the corrupted monoliths. We know about these. And then we get some more expanded footage on the actual Flaming Sword guy. Okay. And that right there, they did mention that the chest inside the abandoned settlements, temples, things like that, that's going to be something we can actually get special resources from. So we do know about that a little bit. That's probably what that is there. Where was I was expecting the interview though. I thought maybe they would show an interview in the PC Gamer one first, and then maybe another interview in the IGN one. Let me see. Okay, hold on. Let's keep going. Oh, we announced it before the video. Hold on. Sorry.
Your memes, your takes of various temperatures throughout the show, through the wonderful magic of motion graphics. You can even read them before your very eyes right now. I'm delighted by so many of them. Furious at a few, but I'm confused by none because you're just making a lot of sense today.
Wait,
We're in
New
the
World
home
video on
stretch of the
YouTube?
show,
Hold
so
on.
Please continue to let us know which PC games you're excited about.
Is it a
by
blog?
using hashtag PC Gaming Show.
Let me hear the date. Let me hear the
When it
date
comes to genres, there are few as ambitious
first
on
before we
PC
go there.
as the MMO. It requires a vast amount of resources to create a rich, living, breathing world to entertain hundreds of thousands of players for years. And I know this because I watched Season 1 of Mythic Quest. Due on closed
they do
beta
have a video.
on July
Okay,
23rd,
cool.
Amazon Games' New World aims to deliver that vast open world with pitched battles of 100 players. I'm excited to announce today that if you pre-order New World right now, you can get into that July 23rd beta.
23rd.
A full month before the full release on August 25th. This is New World.
Okay. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so the footage that they just released on their YouTube page, that does appear to be the same as this. Let me actually look at it though. Wait a minute. I just saw it and then it went away. It said Combat Unleashed, right? Where'd it go? Yeah, Combat Unleashed 2 minutes ago. Okay, I see it. Yeah, it's the same. Okay, it's the same. All right, so right now we're getting a good look at the Dryad Beast himself. This is one of the corrupted portals. This is going to be involved in the corrupted breaches that I was talking about. This is one of them. Let's see here. So we got beta, which is good. Now what I'm curious about, okay, so we got July 23rd as the beta. I wonder what else they're going to announce then, because we'll definitely need to, know maybe what server names they have if they're planning on naming the servers. And I don't know if they're going to announce if there's going to be a pre-download or not, but hopefully. I was expecting some more information to come from this one too, though. I'll be honest, yeah. Flaming Sword guy, but it does look good. So this is one of the mini bosses that I'm expecting to be in the game. I believe we saw this guy in the trailer. I believe this guy might actually be the one that got corrupted in the Game Awards trailer, but there's no actual confirmation on that just yet. But he does look very fun to fight though, and he's definitely going to take more people than just a few to fight. The blue weapon looked like a great axe. Let me see. We got Sword and Shield, Warhammer. Oh, by the way, there was an area called Brightwood in the previous beta, and this does look very similar to that. Now that's where I got kind of lost right there when he did that ground slam. I think that's Warhammer. Let me just go back really quick here. It'd be a lot easier to work with once we slow it down, but let me just go back really quick and check this out. Yeah, it was a Warhammer. Okay. Throwing axe. These are the angry earth creatures right here. I believe these are called the Dryads. Warhammer. Okay, and we know that's the horn of... I don't even know what to call that thing anymore. Hold on. Let me scroll back really quick and take a look at that first shot. I'm looking for new weapons. That's the main thing. If we can spot Great Axe, there's a good chance it might be available during beta. I'm looking for Great Axe, and I'm looking for any Easter eggs possible. Wait a minute. Was that guy holding a torch? Wait. Was he holding a torch? Is that what I just saw? Or was that on the wall? Yeah, using a torch. Wait a second. Oh my god. Wait, wasn't that... I think that was a weapon in the previous... That's new. That's new. We haven't seen anybody holding a torch yet. Okay, watch the video on there. YouTube, it's HD. Okay, I will in just a second here. That's new. Warhammer, throwing axe. Looking for that specific shot. Okay, we got the hammer right here. Okay. Sword. Nope. Musket, more than likely. Appears to be staff. So we got a couple staffs in the front here. Swords. Muskets. No great axe. We know it should be in, but I just want to see if there's like any skills that we're going to see come from it. Some of this stuff seems to be a mixture of what we've seen previously and some new stuff. So the sword... I don't know if we're going to get any Easter eggs in this one. Dual wielding might be a thing. It could potentially be a thing. I don't know if they're going to implement it like right away, but the fact that that guy's wielding a torch does actually hint at that, because that hasn't been possible before now from what we've seen. Now this, I know what this is, but I can't talk about it. But you guys are going to like that one. Yeah, that right there. What I see for the future of this game is I think that with the combat system, they could actually have some really, really unique experiences if they did expand on the open world aspect and put in big field bosses and world bosses on the map that we could fight. Bosses that we have to have like 50, 100 people to take down. I think that would be super fun, and I think something like this would be really nice to fight as well. I can't tell you what this is though. No way, no how. But it's a part of the invasion. Okay, so that's what we have. Unless anybody saw anything different, but I don't believe we did. The beta is announced for July 23rd. That's what we know now. So we got July 23rd beta. Let's go ahead and go directly to their new world page. I've got a lot of, hold on. Maybe I should just, I don't know what the easiest way to find this will be. Oh, here we go. All right, let's do a theater mode one where we just look at this from a minimize glance. Yeah, that right there, that appears to be the life staff from what I was predicting, because it doesn't appear to be showing the same effect as a fire staff. When we saw the guy casting the fire staff when he was looking at that dryad beast, it had a much different look than what we're seeing here. What did they show? Essentially this. It's a little bit of new footage. They did announce the beta for July, which means I'm going to definitely save up some. I'm going to get that vacation time spent that I have saved up. And this right here, this is going to be one of the field bosses from what we've seen so far. I am pretty excited to fight this bad boy right here. I'm hoping that he has some good rewards. This area that we're seeing right here, this winter area, kind of suggests that there might be more territories than we currently know of, because I actually went through and I made a list of all the territories that we know of currently, and we've seen in previous screenshots or footage, and this one appears to be a new one. They might be expanding the map. Life staff, and then that's the corrupted breaches right here. That appears to be a different type of corrupted breach monster. I believe we've seen that one before. He's one of the heavies. 1080p. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, we're on it. We're on it. I'm sorry. And then the flaming sword guy, I absolutely want to fight this guy. I really do. Also, I'm going to start answering your questions in just a second. Just going to go through one more time and see if there's anything we missed. So for him, he is very interesting, because if that is the guy that got corrupted inside the Game Awards trailer for A New World, then that leads me to believe that maybe at some point we might end up seeing Isabella. I would love to see her in the game as an actual field boss, or just any kind of boss that we can fight. I really would. And then the torch. Yep, the torch right there. Now, I know it's not like a big, what we just saw, it's not really a big thing, but the fact that we are able to wield those torches, it kind of suggests that we might actually get dual wielding at some point, because so far we've only seen the sword and shield. So if that torch can go in the offhand in the future, daggers and other weapons might go in the offhand too. God, I was really hoping to see Great Axe though. But there is another streamed event on the 15th in 2 days. The IGN event will also be hosting an interview. We're not sure exactly what's going to be in there, but I believe they might have just saved this as for like this is basically like a teaser of what's to come, and the IGN event is going to be where most of the detail comes into play. Okay. So we had the Spriggan Arena, the invasions. I was really hoping to get an interview today for this one. I was really hoping we'd see one. Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and refresh the chat, and I'll just start scrolling down from here. So any questions that you guys may have had about like the current info that we have on the game, we'll save that. We can save that for next time. Because I'll definitely remember to answer some more of those questions, but specific questions about what we just saw, or anything going forward, I can answer for you now. Hold on. Okay, let me see. He was holding a sword and a torch in his hand. Absolutely. So far, so now we've seen the footage. We've seen everything that we have for the actual PC Gamer. I was expecting an interview of some sort, or maybe some more new stuff. But we did get at least a little bit of a teaser of what's to come. I suspect it's more like a promotional thing, what we just saw, because players that have been keeping up with the actual game itself, we've already known about all that. But now players that haven't seen it for the first time have an idea of what it's going to turn into. Where's the IGN event? That's going to be on the 15th, in 2 days from now. And they'll be streaming it on their YouTube page and Twitch page as well. And also, they did say that there would be a PvP exclusive footage along with a developer interview. The PvP footage, I don't think that's going to be anything new. But if they do it from like start to finish, then we can actually see how it plays from the beginning to end. But other than that, the developer interview is probably where we're going to get the actual detail, if they include any detail at all. You said they just tweeted? Hold on. Which I'm not sure what they'll actually have in the developer interview itself, but things I'm hoping for is like the server capacity, confirmations on a couple of the systems, like maybe if they're going to be adding any more like early on or, at a later date, something like that. I think I'd love to find out during that developer diary. Does the weather effects, fight effects, like for example, fire magic is less useful when it rains? We haven't seen anything that suggests that specifically, but they did show that there would be dynamic weather. Actually, one of my favorite clips from the third developer diary is when we see the settlement of Morningdale, or not the settlement, but the area of Morningdale, and it shows the name Morningdale in it, so we know that's where it is. But this one is one that appears to be one that's always raining from what we can see there, or just raining the majority of the time. So you can see right here, you've got some mist, the rain itself, which I'm so down for. Any area that is full of rain, it just instantly becomes my favorite. I love the idea of having a dynamic weather system in a game. I really hope they do continue to have more in the future, maybe even a snow region. I think that could be really cool. But since the beta is announced, so we got till July 23rd. So after the IGN event, let's make a plan, because we know that we might get a little bit more information off that IGN event, but past that, it might be pretty silent between now and July 23rd. Like I've said, since I already told you guys I'm in the alpha, I do have plans in terms of preparing for content for the beta, like videos and things like that, that's going to help players excel in the game. And not just regular players, but also those of you that have guilds. I've noticed that in a lot of games, when it comes to like testing phases and things like that, players will have a one up on players just coming into the game, because they'll already know a lot more. If I'm going to clear it through the Amazon Game Studios first, but if we're able to talk about certain things after the NDA drops, like how systems might work, suggestions of where you'll want to go, that's something I do have planned to put everybody on a even playing field. Thanks so much for coming, Vision. I appreciate it. But right now, I definitely think that the game itself, it does have potential. Like I said earlier, I think it'll probably have a rocky start. As we saw there, the developer teaser, it did show quite a bit in terms of, like, if you're like a new player looking in, it did show quite a bit. But for players that already know everything, it's not going to have too much for us to show past this point. But I think, yeah, overall, it's a game that could potentially last about a month or two, and then we might start running out of things to do. And then for the first 6 to 8 months or so, what's going to really help is like how fast they're able to implement content, how fast they're addressing the players' feedback, stuff like that. That's what's really going to determine how successful the game's going to be in the end. And I'm really, really excited to find out if they're going to actually implement the past civilizations, like with naval combat and stuff like that. I really hope that actually becomes a thing. But yeah, it appears to be everything we got so far. Can I join your guild? I don't actually plan on having a guild when I join the game, like on my main character. I'm going to be a part of the Marauder faction, but I'll probably have it as a guildless character instead of being in a guild. That way I can kind of remain neutral with everybody and go from there, and be more focused on improving the community as opposed to just one guild kind of thing. But yeah, I really hope we get some more detail on that interview. Hopefully we'll be able to see maybe a little bit more new content, get some confirmations on the server systems. But yeah, I know a lot of you were probably expecting some more footage and stuff like that. I was too. But we'll see what happens on the IGN event. That's pretty much everything we have to go over though, folks. If you guys have any questions that I didn't get to, be sure to save them for me. During the IGN event, I'll see if I'm able to stream that one as well. I should be off on Monday, so we should have no problems with that one. That one might be a little bit of a longer wait though, since those events or those streams that they do seem to last like 5-6 hours or so. So we might have to wait a little bit longer to get to the New World part. But we'll do the same setup, and I'll be able to answer some questions for you the same way. Are you able to transfer your character to multiple servers? They've said that they don't want to do faction transfers, but for server transfers, I'm not sure about that. They might have the ability, you might have the ability to do that, but I don't think they'll do it right away. Maybe later on down the line though. Show us the game. I can't show you the alpha. I can tell you that I'm in the alpha and stuff like that, but I can't actually show it or talk about it. But we'll have the NDA lifted soon enough. Don't worry about that. But anyway, folks, thank you guys so much for joining. I really appreciate you guys coming out. I know it didn't, live up to the hype that a lot of you guys had, but we're still tracking. We're still finding out everything we can. So I'll be scouring the net throughout the day. If any other announcements are made, I'll definitely be able to make everybody aware. And we'll go from there. And then on the 15th, on Monday, we'll see what that interview is all about, and hopefully that'll give us some more information that we got today. But you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks so much for joining. I'm going to go ahead and maybe I'll probably record that one again or download the video that they just put out and kind of analyze it a little bit more, but I got to go get some food first. Where's the background from? Oh, this is actually my wallpaper that I bought. There's a website called 123RF, I think, that you can actually buy stock footage photos from, and I got it from there. But I love it. I absolutely love the stuff that they have over there. Anyway, folks, thank you guys so much for joining it. You guys have a wonderful day. I'll catch you later, all right? Peace.